Hello everyone and welcome to episode 125 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week I'm joined by Jake.
Hello, it's me.
Just Jake, as it were, actually.
Just Jake.
This week we're going to be talking about a few different things. First of all, that Jake here has decided to join our wonderful team of podcasting hosts. So expect to see his face a lot more often. We got a shitload of news to talk about, although like a lot of small news because I think people are keeping their powder dry till Summer Games Fest next week. We've been playing a couple of games, and of course the Word Challenge is back. I know we were off last week, so I'm going to give you guys a big clue this week because I really want someone to get it. But as always, we do this show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is a place to find us. We've got a few people in the chat at the moment. Thank you for joining us. So feel free to hit us up in the chat. Let us know what's happening. Ask us any questions. Let us know your thoughts on the stories too. We like to interact with the chat as much as possible. But yeah, let's have a chat with you, Jake. How are you doing?
Really well. Happy to be here. Happy to be on board.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. It's great to have some more Americans on the show. You know, it means that I can do the show at a reasonable hour. I don't have to wait for those fucking Australians, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. Excited to do a one with Shane because I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. So that'll be cool to have like an American grouping and then on the Aussie grouping kind of thing. I mean, I feel like this was like writing on the walls. I feel like this was something like it was in the works. It felt like for a few months to get me on kind of regularly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, people love having you on the show, and you've always been a fantastic guest. So we figured, you know what, we'd love some more support in the US, and especially like you said, like having someone to work with myself and Shane on those off weekends when we can't get the Aussies on. I think is going to be really, really great. But don't worry, everyone else is still around. You'll still see Kyo, Cam, and Char around every now and then. We're just going to be trying to alternate that and just let people live their lives a little bit. Except for me, of course. I'm always fucking here because I got nothing better to do than run this fucking podcast. All right. Well, without any further ado, let's get into our question for the week. So we got a question last minute from our good friend Isaac. I was worried that he wasn't going to have anything for this week, but he managed to get it right in there. So he says, hey guys, I was working on my backlog when Moving Out 2 was added to Game Pass. I know the feeling. And I mostly stopped playing other games so I can play that. I really enjoyed the first one, and this one's just as good. Has there been a game or games you've been slightly obsessed with until they're done? Thanks for the show. Thank you for the question, Isaac. We greatly appreciate it. I've got a few, but is anything spring to mind for you, Jake?
Recently, I've been pretty hooked on ESO. But I mean, you have to be obsessed with that game to finish it,
Yeah,
it feels like. I got super hooked into Destiny. When I hear hooked on a game, it makes me feel like it was like not even from an achievement perspective. Like you're still going for the achievements, but like they're almost an afterthought. I think that was definitely Destiny for me. Like I would log in and grind, and I was going for stuff that was totally unachievement related. So that's the big one that really comes to mind. And then not really achievement related, but I got pretty addicted to Magic the Gathering for like 2 years.
Gotcha.
Until I like literally just burnt out hard stopped. Probably for the better.
So do you still have a huge collection of cards that just sit in a box, or?
Well, I think what made the addiction so easy was because I was playing Arena.
Ah, right.
So I was playing the fully online version.
Yeah, okay.
So it was literally just pop in every day, do my dailies, and then go about my day. And then it was just every day, rinse and repeat. It got to the point where, like, I think most people share the sentiment of games as a service games, like, turning into jobs.
Yes.
Like, I was like, I got to do my dailies today.
Yeah.
And it got to that point, and I was just like, okay, I got to stop. I got to stop.
There is always a turning point, right? Where you're like, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, what am I? I mean, even with achievement hunting, sometimes you look at it and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, I can quit at any time. All right, I quit whenever I want.
Oh, how could I forget too? Smite.
Yes.
I still need to go back and mop up some of the like added characters, and I don't know what how they're handling the achievement list with the release of Smite 2, honestly. But I have like 800 hours in Smite.
Mm,
Like I got hard into Smite. Was playing it for achievements, but also like I'd spend hours on Smite, not working on achievements. Like it was, yeah, that was another one where I definitely kind of got lost in the sauce a bit.
fair. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm also trying to look at games I've rated like 5 out of 5 because I try not to rate games 5 out of 5.
Same.
Um, The Messenger, if we're gonna not talk about length, but just games that I just adored,
That
and
game's great. It was, I mean, that fucking DLC nearly made me snap a controller in half. But
it was so fun.
oh, that fucking having to win 5-0 on that damn race like nearly broke me as a person.
Yeah,
It was embarrassing how bad I was at that. Um, it was a really fucking cool game though.
yeah. And probably The Witcher was another one that I just was like absolutely obsessed with, always wanting to log on to and play every day until it was done. Like I had like a massive checklist of all the quests in the game, and I just went through every single one of them. You don't even need to do that for the 100%.
No,
I just
right.
decided I wanted to go for that. So those are probably some of the stick in mind. What about you? What
Um,
gives you?
so like if we talk about like my like 5-star games, like the Dark Souls series, those kinds of like Souls like games tend to be the things that I just like really deep dive into and just like smash through. Um, I'm looking at like yeah, like so like the original Dark Souls. I started the 29th of January 2012 and I finished it the 8th of February. So like I smashed that game. And you got to do three play. There's like a 100-hour game right there. Like there's a few of those where I just like was completely just enamored with it. Um, Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain was one that I just could not stop going back to. I just absolutely loved it. Neo Automata's similar to that. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I still need to finish Phantom Pain, but I know when I was playing it, it was like I was having a blast. And nothing ever felt like a chore.
yeah. The Persona series is probably the other one that just took me like a sickness. It was like when 3 and 4 came out on Game Pass. I rinsed like actually see if I can find it because I finished it very quickly. Um,
Yeah, I think I remember seeing like Persona 3 and 4 just were just added and then seeing you post completions for Persona 3 and 4. And I was like, how did you do that?
yeah, I
Like, did you add extra hours in the day?
I did. Yeah, so I looked at it came out like the 19th of January. I started it in March because I was like I wasn't going to play it originally straight away, but I was like fuck it, I need to play it. I started at 19th of March last year and I finished it on the 31st. So it took me like 11 days to finish that game, or 12.
Yeah, you did it quick.
And Persona 4 I think was probably similar. Actually, because I think I did 4. Yeah, I did 4 first and then went back to 3.
Speaking of JRPGs that you just, dump through in 2 weeks, you finish a 100+ hour game. I don't know if this necessarily counts because it was also like a rushing to leave Game Pass, but I did start to finish beat Dragon Quest 11
Fuck,
from
that's
the announcement.
yeah.
It was the day it was announced leaving.
I
I beat it probably. I had like 2 or 3 days to spare, and it was literally every waking hour that I wasn't doing things where I had responsibilities.
yeah.
I was playing Dragon Quest 11.
Okay, how do you feel about that game after that experience?
I still love it. I still think it's a phenomenal
Yeah.
game. Would do again, 100%. It didn't. You sometimes rushing games like that and like spending every waking hour on it is enough to kill a game for me. I would 10 out of 10 would do again. Dragon Quest 11 was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, that one took me a long time actually because I started like back. Yeah, because I basically dived it, and then got hit like a bit of a wall, and I was like, okay, yeah, and then I just came back and rinsed it because I was like, I needed a good JRPG. I still think the third act is kind of not amazing. Well, I can't give my issues with that game without spoiling the big thing that happens, but the differences between Act 2 and 3 and why they happen. Because Act 2 has like a very definitive ending. Like when you get to that, like you're done.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then it was like, and then they were like, oh, but actually there's all this other stuff, and you kind of like, and it was a really interesting idea, like for like a thing, because I was like, oh, okay, like that's, but then also it kind of invalidates a lot of the stuff from the anyway.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, JRPGs are one of those things that are like either really, really grab me, or I have to really push myself through, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of in between.
Yep.
So like the Persona series, like 3, 4, and 5, like I just and like even Reload, I rinsed as well. Just I had a fucking great time playing through all of those. Although 3 is my least favorite, which I know is controversial. But then I've been trying to play Tales of Arise, and it just has not been hooking me for some reason. I'm in like the third area, so I've made it a little. Like, I'm probably about maybe 10, 15 hours in, and it just there's something about it just isn't quite grabbing me yet, and I haven't figured out whether it's the combat or the story or something. I don't know. Well, I've still got it
Yeah, I
installed,
mean,
but
I feel like there's a weird balance with JRPGs where they have to be like, well, I feel like sometimes a JRPG is just like a skeleton of a JRPG. Like it's just got all the bones of a JRPG, but none of the meat of a good
yeah,
game. And those are the ones I have to really push myself through.
yeah, I'm thinking like Star
And
Ocean.
sometimes I feel like yeah, and sometimes I do feel like the Tales games can start to fall into that.
Like I loved
Like,
Tales of Vesperia. It's one of my favorite JRPGs, like of like modern era, in terms of like storytelling and the fact that it had like good voice acting and was well paced and had like a lot of variety to it. And I was like hoping, like I heard really good things about Tales of Arise, and like I don't hate it. Like it's a good game. Like I can see all the good stuff in it, but it just hasn't
mhm,
grabbed me for some. And like it might just be me. Like it might just be like the time that I'm playing it, and just like there's other stuff to play, and I'm just kind of not feeling JRPGs right now.
yeah.
But
I've kind of learned every game has their, or every genre rather, I should say, I feel like has their like a point where you only like the game because you just kind of like that genre. But it's not like really a great game.
yeah,
You just, and I feel like that way a lot about a lot of like PS4 JRPGs where they all start to kind of bleed together into the same game.
yeah.
And I like those games, but I'm just a fucking weeb and I love JRPGs and stuff. But like I can recognize they're not good games.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm just thinking back on like JRPGs that I've like absolutely loved, and it's like you get things like Final Fantasy X or like Lost Odyssey, which is basically Final Fantasy X again,
Yeah.
compared to like
But
things.
those are games I would recommend to people. I'd
Yeah,
be like, even if you're
100%.
not I'd be like, you should play this. But I'm not recommending Fairy Tale Fencer F on the PS4
Sure,
to just
yeah.
anyone.
I'm not going to say you should play Magna Carta 2. You know, I'm like, you should
Yeah,
probably.
exactly.
Cameron thinks fun, and the chat says Final Fantasy X is the best Final Fantasy. Yep, I totally agree. I mean, it was
Well, that's a funny way to spell 12.
okay. All right. Well,
Ada.
you know what? Like, I'm not even gonna like. I love 12. Can you tell? Here's a fun thing, Jake. Can you explain to me the plot of 12 or any significant story moment that happens in that game?
It's um it's been a minute. It's a government
It's
whatever
Star Wars,
takeover
right? It's
coup.
literally
It's
the
Star Wars.
Empire
It
with
is Star
yeah.
Wars.
It's
It
Star
is Star
Wars, right?
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
12,
that's where you're getting at. Yeah.
12 does have some fantastic mechanics. I will give you that. Yeah, and Cameron agrees. I think that like the
Yeah.
gambit system is so much fun.
Yeah.
It,
You can get the game to basically not play
pretty
you
much.
can basically have the game play itself.
So
It's great.
this is we're going off on a tangent because this is how the show works. Especially when there's only
Yeah.
two of us. I was there was a guy I used to watch at Video Gamer called Matt Lees who did a show called Cool Ghosts, which was like a sort of comedy sketch show mixed with video game review show. It was kind of like an interesting model. He only did like 8 episodes of it or something. Like it was like and like it took years for it to come out. And he did an episode, and part of what he talked about like going back and playing the HD version of Final Fantasy 12, and how the fact that it had the gambit system and then also had like a fast forward function just basically broke video games for him for a while, where he was like, oh, I have optimized myself out of this video game. It's like it was
Yeah.
it's like okay, so I've built the perfect system so the game plays itself, and I've made it so that if the game isn't playing fast enough, and if I'm not completing my goals fast enough, I have a speed up button. And then it's like, then why do the goals exist in the first place? Then why am I playing a video game? Then why do I do anything? and he just has like just had this massive existential crisis of just pulling. You see the wires a little bit too much of the video gamey stuff behind the scenes.
You just have to treat Final Fantasy 12 like satisfactory. Your
Yes.
goal is to just optimize as
Yep.
much as possible, and
Exactly.
that's what you take satisfaction in.
I will say I have not played Final Fantasy 12 since it originally came out on the PlayStation 2. I think I have a digital copy of the Zodiac Age. I probably should go back and do it at some stage.
Yeah, I played the shit out of it on the PS2, and I bought the PS4 physical, the Steelbook, when it came out because I was like, it's never coming to Xbox. And then it came to Xbox, and I bought it immediately too. So I own it digitally. I think I dived it, so I do need to go do it. It's my favorite Final Fantasy for sure. So,
Yeah, I'll have to. Might look at
and I've
it.
never played the Zodiac Age, and everyone's like, this is the definitive way. This is the
Yeah.
best way to play the game. Like I used to just play and grind out the license board and get everything for everybody.
Hmm.
And this is everyone's like, no, just jobs are the best.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
All right. Well,
yeah,
that was actually the thing because I did the same thing where I was like, well, I have these roles for these people and I'm going to max the shit out of them. And now it's like, no, you pick jobs for them. I'm like, wow, fuck that. I'm suddenly paralyzed by indecision. I'm like, what the fuck job am I going to make everyone now? It's a
yeah,
um,
exactly.
it's funny we talk about Final Fantasy actually because another one that really sucked me in was Final Fantasy X when they re-released it. I picked that up. I know. I think I got it for like a gift because I was like, this is my favorite game of all time. And just like absolutely destroyed 10. And then I started trying to play 10 too, and I was like, nah, this isn't it.
Really,
I just
I know people who swear by Final Fantasy X too.
I think 10-2 is a fantastic fucking idea, and it's so interesting to take a world of just like, yeah, Final Fantasy X was a very relatively linear adventure, right? Like you literally
Yeah,
are on a journey, right? Whereas 10
yeah,
2 is like, okay, the journey's over. We're going to do a new thing. You can go and visit all these areas all over again in any order you like and just do kind of cool shit all over the place. The
yeah,
problem with that game is that there's just kind of too much shit to kind of take care of. Where it's like, if you want to get 100% of that game, you need a guide. You 100% need a guide because
yeah.
there's so much that was like, oh, I did this thing in this order and this order. Oh, no, you're fucked. That you're going to be at 99%, unfortunately. So just deal with that.
Yeah, yeah. I have heard that about it for sure. The only thing stopping me from doing 10 is I need to do Final Fantasy 9, and the only thing stopping me from doing 9 is the jump rope
Jump rope?
thing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I know I could set up a macro or
That
whatever,
is
but
100% what I did because fuck that.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'll do. I'm just like, I don't know, that's enough to put me off and not want to do for a bit. But speaking of X2, and again, I know we're way off topic at this point, but you get me on Final Fantasy,
That's
I'm
fine,
going to
yeah.
talk about Final Fantasy. Um, so X2 being middling for you on a kind of counter offer to that, I think 13.2 is a fantastic game, and even I would go as far as to say the best soundtrack in all of Final Fantasy.
Okay, so when I played 13, I was hugely disappointed, right? And I think a lot of
Yeah,
people were,
sure.
right? I think that like
Yeah,
the sort of corridor nature of it and the fact that like there wasn't really a lot going on there and the story wasn't that interested and the world building was quite bad in a lot of ways. And so I played through it and I put it down, like I didn't go back and finish it till years later. But I picked up 10-2 and I was like, okay, cool. Like it's a reduced cast. It's just like two main characters and then like a swappable monster thing. There's this kind of interesting time traveling element. I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. I fucking love that game. That game
me too.
is fan-fucking-tastic. There is so
Yeah.
much good shit in that game. They basically they took everything that was like, okay, here's all the interesting world shit, but let's actually like make it a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, here's a cool story with it, and yeah, I am the same boat. Well, I not totally same boat. I thought 13 was fine. I liked it enough, but 13.2, I was blown away. I was like, this people are sleeping on this as a Final Fantasy game. This is
Yeah.
amazing. And like I said, I still think best soundtrack in all of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like the Chocobo, it is the hands down the best version of the Chocobo theme, the jazzy Chocobo theme. It's so good. Except maybe, Final Fantasy 16's music was really good, but I mean, That's a PS5 game. We don't talk.
Yeah,
about
we don't
those
talk about
here.
those. Yeah. Maybe one day it'll come to Xbox. Who knows?
Maybe one day we'll talk about the game, but right now we're not talking about the game.
Oh, speak of the devil, Mr. Logic Dad is in chat at the moment. Tried to watch the earlier stream, but it was just a test with Char. Thought Char would be on the actual episode. Yes, I'm sorry about that, Isaac. We did the test recording yesterday. But yeah, it's a new thing. You never know who's going to show up. It's
I'm Char.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, just Final Fantasy takes me back. And I'll just wrap up the question with these two. So, the other one that really springs to mind is Hades. When it came to Xbox, I was like the 10th person on TA to finish that. I just blitzed that game. I have some problems with Hades, but I think overall it is a fantastic fucking game. And I'm really, really curious to see kind of what they've done with Hades 2, because it looks like they've just kind of gone, yeah, let's just do bigger, better, more badass.
Yeah, that's what I've seen too from it. Like any stream I've seen of it, I'm just like, yeah, this is Hades. This is it.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because Hades 1 was fantastic.
Yeah, I fucking love that game.
Give me more.
And then the other one most recently is Halo Master Chief Collection. I had forgotten how much I loved Halo. I realized I had not played Halo since, again, like I'd played Halo 5 and didn't really enjoy it, but I had not gone back and played a Halo game in many, many years. And Halo 3 and Reach specifically, and even like actually Halo Reach 3 and ODST, which again I know is like half the collection, but there was so much good stuff in there. Like 3 with like the Scarab stuff, and like, you know, you get to the part where it's like you're playing co-op with 4 people and someone's in a Hornet and someone's in a tank, and you got fucking 2 Scarabs just blasting around and shit, and you just, you're playing on like heroic or legendary, and you're like, yeah, it's hard, but like because you have 4 people, you just kind of breeze through it. I still think 2 is like half of a good game, but I could not stop playing that. I finished the Master Chief Collection in like just over a month, which was a sickness. Like that was, every time I was playing something else, I was like, I wish I was playing Halo right now. I'd forgotten how good that series was and why it became such a huge phenomenon that it was. And it's kind of sad to see where it is today, unfortunately.
Yeah. I have an interesting talking point about, you said playing on Legendary, playing with 4 people, you just breeze through it. I will often think about hardest difficulties in games back in that time compared to hardest difficulties now. And I feel like we've fallen so far on like the focus. I think specifically about things like Back 4 Blood on the hardest difficulty.
Sure.
And it's just like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's not fun. I should be able to blow through this on the hardest difficulty with 4 players. Like,
yeah, I think that I think we've kind of diverged, right? Where it's like we've had some of them have been like, okay, easy is actually like normal is actually easy, and hard is actually just for people who play a lot of video games, and like, yeah, that's it. And then you have other things where it's like exactly like Back 4 Blood, where it's like, you play us on like hard, like you're done. Like, good luck. Like this, like you got like a 10% chance to get through this.
Yeah.
And seeing that, like, I think like Halo's guilty of this too. Like Halo 2 is hugely imbalanced in terms of like playing that on Legendary is a slog and like completely unenjoyable in a lot of ways. And even Halo 1 on Legendary is kind of rough in a lot of places. I think the co-op aspect of having like 4 people for Reach and ODST and all that kind of stuff like makes it a lot, like evens it out a lot more. And like part of playing Halo 4 is doing, like, part of Master Chief Collection is doing all the Spartan Ops solo on Legendary, which is just like, it's just not fun. That's
one of the main things keeping me away from, like, that's like the last big thing I have to do in that game, and that's like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it.
I mean, it's like 50 fucking missions, right? And like you can put the bandana skull on to have your infinite ammo, right? But even then, just like, it is a war of attrition of like, okay, well, I'm going up against legendary difficulty enemies, and the number of enemies that there are basically made for 4 players. They don't scale it down based on the number of players. So like, you're just tackling. It's like, well, I'm doing the job of 4 people here, and it's going to take me 4 times as long. And it just was an absolute fucking slog, unless you got the beam rifle, which, like, again, pro tip for anyone playing Spartan Ops: beam rifle with the bandana skull, infinite ammo, no reloading. You can shoot it as fast as you need to because it never overheats. it's fucking easy mode. You just basically blow through any enemy.
That might be the kick in the pants I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, very. Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to find a jackal and make sure they have them on that level, but it is very, very helpful for a lot of the harder levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like I'm always on the lookout for that next big thing that really hooks me. As this is something we've talked about on the show a lot in the past. Is like obviously achievements are the big focus for why we talk about the things we do and why we play so many games. But at the end of the day, like I still want to play games for game's sake first. The achievements are just kind of a nice thing to keep me going and kind of keep score and all that kind of stuff and keep me motivated. But like I'm playing, like we'll talk about in what we've been playing, but like there are some games I play that I'm just like, this is just a fantastic fucking game. And like even if it, like the fact that it has achievements means that I don't feel guilty about playing it over other things. But like I'm just having a great time playing this video game, and like that's all I want at the end of the day.
Yeah, that feeling sometimes, like I'll get that feeling where it'll almost take me out of achievement hunting for like the duration of the game, where I'm like, man, this is what it's like to just play a game without feeling this need to complete it.
Yeah.
Like this is just I'm just having a blast with this game, and I don't want to put it down.
Yeah, totally agree. All right. Well, hopefully that answers your question there, Isaac. And also thank you for joining us in the chat. It's great to see you. All right, let's move on to some news. So first story we've got here is that Redfall's final Xbox update is going to be coming out. I believe it is just out. Yeah, it is. Sorry, it just came out, which brings like an offline mode, a couple of fixes, and a few other bits and pieces, but nothing major. They're doing some. They've made a little bit of changes, but they've done some new enemy encounters. They've added a new sort of safe house skill tree, some new rewards and stuff. But this will be their final update, basically. As, of course, we all heard, that Arcane Austin has basically been shut down. We weren't even sure we were getting this patch, but I guess they figured it was done. They might as well. They got to give people notice. But, yeah. I figured we'd use this opportunity to maybe just talk about the recent closures and that kind of stuff and get your feeling on them, Jake. I'm sure you have a similar feeling to a lot of people in terms of, like, it sucks. But,
yeah, I think we talked about this last time I was on, too, where it's like, it sucks. There's the Tango one is wicked surprising. How Redfall did makes Arcane's not super surprising.
Yeah.
And then you read about other things that were happening leading up to that, where they lost like 70% of their development team during Redfall because of just like mismanagement and like lost vision and stuff like that. And then it's like, okay, well, if I was running a company, whether, you know, not like Microsoft's, like I was running a company, like if I was if I was Arcane Austin and like 70% of the people quit, it might also be time to be like, well, like, do we find more people? Do we try to save this, or do we throw in the towel? And I feel like Microsoft probably just made that decision for them. And I was like, you just throw in the towel. Yeah. But the other ones are like out of left field. Like Tango is like, that's what Xbox needed, I think, was getting cool, neat, interesting, unique games like Hi-Fi Rush. And for them to axe Tango is like just weird. I'm still interested to try Redfall. I literally bought it like a month ago, and I'll probably boot it up at some point. But and did they ever put 60 FPS in it?
I think they did.
Patch that in?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was admittedly my big turnoff. Like, well, I was like kind of middling. I heard about what the game kind of was. At first, I thought it was like an asymmetrical multiplayer game. And then I thought it was like another Left 4 Dead type, which I don't really like care for Left 4 Dead types. And then I heard it was kind of more like a Borderlands-y with vampires. And so then I was a little more like, okay, I could get behind that. And then I heard it was 30 frames, and I was just like, not to be a frame rate snob, but I'm just like ready for that to stop being excusable, I guess, when I excuse it for this 7 years of the Xbox One generation.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the big thing, was like, how are you guys not on 30 frames or 60 frames yet? And I was like, it's fine. 30 frames isn't that big of a deal. And some games are, and it's cool. And then this next generation comes out where it's like 120 frames, capable console, and games like AAAs are still launching at 30. And so now I'm like a lot more like, well, that's a kind of a letdown. That's a bummer.
A AAA first party game in particular, right? Where you're like, I obviously understand that the game was in development before the acquisition, but still, like, if you're Microsoft, you're putting out your games, like, they got to put their best foot
Yeah.
forward. Eh?
Like, even if it's like, you choose 30 frames or 4K, whatever, or 60 frames or 4K. Just give the option. I'll take the 60 frames every time.
Same.
Like, it doesn't look that different. Um, so that was my disappointment. I bought it because it was like $10 on Amazon. To hear that they have a 60 frames mode now, I'm more interested in trying it. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, overall, one studio not too super surprising, as sucky as that is to say. Other studios, kind of out of left field.
Yeah.
I feel like that talking point too is like just everyone. I think at this point everyone's said their piece and everyone's on the same page of like it this doesn't make a lot of sense for some things,
Yeah, I know
and it sucks all in all.
there was a big worry about Ninja Theory, right? With people were like, "Oh, hey, small studio releasing a relatively niche game," and they were like, "Okay, it's interesting to have all these right before the launch," you know. I
I
know.
did think about that too. I was like, what? I was literally like, God, I hope
Yeah,
Hellblade does well.
yeah. Uh,
Because Microsoft's clearly shown they're willing to ask studios that
Even the ones
released
that perform
a
well,
good receiving game.
yeah.
So,
It does look like their next game
um,
has been greenlit though, at least. So that's good news. So I'm super here for anything Ninja Theory are
yeah,
doing, to be honest.
me too. Yeah, man, the Arcane really did make sense. When you look at everything, you step
Mm.
back, and then you look at the fact that they have another studio in France that they're not closing. So then it's just like, okay, they're just kind of consolidating, great. But yeah, Tango, it's just like, Mike, I wanted, why? There's no real great, you look at it and understand why reason for Tango.
Yeah, I was
Unless
just
they're trying to absorb talent, like maybe as long as they keep some people on, put them in different projects, like, but I'm sure we won't get those numbers on if everyone was actually just fully let go or what happened. So
yeah. I mean, the rumor was that they had some talent drain with Mikami leaving to start up his own new studio. Yeah, Cameron points out in chat. Yes, Tango CEO leaving prior is kind of like people were that was the rumor going around that he was like going to poach some people. That they kind of the main reason they bought the studio was for him and his kind of genius. You know, doing well, I guess Resident Evil 4 is probably the one that sort of springs to mind for a lot of people, or the original Resident Evil as well. But yeah,
oh, that's what he did. That was
yeah,
his...
I'm trying to remember what it was. I know 4 was the one that because like, again people were like, oh hey, Evil Within, you basically just made Resident Evil 4 again, but with setting them on fire this time and all that kind of stuff, and like reusing the kind of classic shots of the first time you see zombies and stuff. So obviously a real love for the Resident Evil franchise, and it was heavily inspired by it. Although I think Evil Within 2 is a really really cool game. It's got a few problems, but I think that it's a shame that it didn't do better.
Yeah, I got those sitting on my shelf. Still, I need to do them. I don't. Those are ones that don't know if I'll achievement hunt, just because I don't know how much I want to do the stupid hard difficulty or whatever. The like no save 3-hit mode or whatever.
Thankfully, you can use cheats in 2, so that makes it nice and easy.
That's
That makes it
yeah.
easy.
I saw.
But one is, fuck me, one is.
Yeah,
brutal.
yeah. You have to basically learn any achievement where you basically have to learn the speed run is like.
Yeah.
I love speedrunning, so that's cool, but also it's like, oh man.
Speedrunning should be done out of choice as opposed to necessity, in my mind.
Right, sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our next story about TA put out an article that 3 of 2023's worst Xbox games are now on sale at their lowest price ever. And like, if there's one thing that us achievement hunters love, it's fucking trash.
Yeah, I love a good jank game, man.
Oh, man.
I actually think I bought a Gollum. Gollum is $12.99 US right now, 80% off. I bought a physical copy about the same time I bought Redfall. I think for less than that. I think I spent like $6 on the physical copy of Gollum.
Jesus Christ.
I'm really excited to play it, honestly. I want to see how bad it is. But there's one achievement. I don't know if you've looked at the achievement list for any of them.
I haven't yet.
But Gollum does have a beat the game without dying achievement.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And it's only hard because the game is jank.
Yeah, right. So
So
it'll just kill you and
it'll
shit.
just kill you. Yeah. Totally not your fault. It'll just fucking kill you.
Oh
So
man.
I'm super excited to give that a go and just hate my life.
Yeah. Golem is on sale. We've got Skull Island: Rise of Kong, the one where they use the PNG in the animation. That was amazing. A lot of good gifs of that going around. And then The Walking Dead Destinies, which is I don't really know much about, but I heard nothing but amazingly bad things about. It's got 2 stars on TA, so it can't be that bad. This is the kind of shit that I use for my milestone fodder, so I'm probably going to pick all 3 of these up and just kind of space them out between my 100,000s. Probably start, maybe do, I don't know, I'll have to see which one I want to start with, but yeah, not much else to that story other than just they're on sale. I did like one of the second comment on TA is remember, folks, even out of curiosity, even with the price heavily discounted, if you buy this, you're encouraging it. And everyone's just quoted it being like, yep, agreed. Let's encourage this. Oh, man.
Encouraging what? Bad games?
I guess encouraging bad games by giving them some money.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. Yeah, I love a good bad game though.
I feel like the 0 and 1 star reviews that it got across these things probably did more damage than buying the game will do. So I think that's probably okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right.
Could you save scum in Shadow? The Golem achievement? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, at worst, right, you could probably do the delete local save thing that
Yeah, exactly.
abused the hell and back. Another quick one. Xbox reportedly has inked a deal with Rocksteady's co-founders for a new single-player AAA game. So 100 Star Games, who are a new studio from Rocksteady's co-founders, have apparently got some sort of single-player action-adventure game coming up. Which I'm like, cool. I mean, Rocksteady have done some great stuff. Maybe not their most recent release, but yeah, we don't really know anything about it, but apparently it's going to be Unreal Engine 5. They're touting it as like AAA. Xbox are going to be financing it, so it'll definitely be Game Pass launch, that kind of stuff. I don't know if it'll probably won't be exclusive. I don't imagine that because they'll probably, by the time this comes out, they'll probably have all the Xbox games on other platforms anyway. But yeah, I don't know. What are you excited for another Rocksteady game or Rocksteady adjacent game?
Man, if you would have asked me, around Arkham Knight days,
Sure.
I would have been like, hell yeah, can't wait. If you would ask me now, after their last couple releases, what was their latest
Suicide
release?
Squad.
Which one did they do? They did do Suicide Squad. Did they do the Gotham Knight one?
No, that was Montreal who did. They did
Yeah.
Arkham Origins before that.
Yes. If you ask me now, after Suicide Squad, not super stoked.
Mm.
To be
Yeah,
honest,
that's fair. That's totally fair.
Hopeful. I always want good games and want studios that I know have historically released good games to release more good games. But I don't know. Like, I think people have been wanting a Rocksteady Superman game forever.
Yeah.
I think that could be kind of cool. It's just like, it's not the same people, right? It can't be.
Well,
Because you look at Arkham Knight and you look at
Yeah.
Justice League, and it's just like,
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's I get what you're saying. I think that again because it's the co-founders, right? So it's like I guess it is some of the original people doing their own thing. So again, I don't even think this is going to be like DC at this stage because I wonder if this is going to be like, well, again, I was going to say new IP, but like that doesn't exist in this industry, so there's no way.
yeah. I also just am always so confused, to be completely honest, whenever a news article says developers who were like co-founders, sister developers of this other developer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, that could be the accountant.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Like,
Again,
somebody who worked at Rocksteady is gonna go work for this other studio. It's like, who? You know?
Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. It says co-founders, so I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, fair.
yeah, Jamie
That's
Walker,
true.
Sefton Hill. So I guess I don't know. Like, it's going to be their debut game. So like, I guess they've made the studio to make this game first and foremost.
Yeah.
So I am curious, and like I love a good AAA action adventure single player game. Like that's. I mean, like I love Arkham Asylum even, and I actually went back and played a little bit of Arkham City and realized how fucking shit I am at that game. I know you're like locked in on it, but like, come on,
Yeah,
something.
I don't know how. I just clicked. That one just clicked with me.
Um, but I'm very curious to see kind of what they come up with and like even what it would be because they haven't said the words original.
Yeah.
I don't think they've said original IP or anything like that or whether they have some sort of deal. I have to imagine that the ex Rocksteady guys can be like, hey, we made like 3 fucking amazing Batman games. Yeah, give us another superhero we can do some cool shit with.
Yeah. I think in this climate, this gaming climate, every news article from me, especially speculation pieces, are always just like um hopes. I never get my hopes up. It's more
Yeah,
just like I really hope they make something cool. And also it's like I don't know what this means. Like I said, like you, I feel like you hear all the time like X studio leads, X studio whatever founded this new studio. And then you get excited that these like the mind behind whatever
hmm
is making a new game in this new studio and it comes out and it's just dog shit.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's I mean, yeah, the
so
fucking news flash for the industry out there. It's not just one person who makes a game. That's the thing.
yeah.
Is at the end of the day, like, yeah, you're right. Like brainchilds, even Hideo Kojima struggles.
Yeah.
Like the kind of like auteur video game maker thing isn't really a thing.
Yeah. I mean it took a super long time for Death Stranding to even like to catch on even a little bit. Like I remember when that game came out, it was absolutely dragged.
Yeah,
I remember Donkey making his review on it and just dragging it to the ground, and then obviously everyone, hopped on Donkey. And then years later comes I start hearing like I guess kind of the internet voices die down and people are like, this game's actually really cool and really good. And then they release the Death Stranding director's cut,
mm,
and then Donkey re-releases his video. He's like, I'm having a lot of fun playing Death Stranding.
yeah,
Like this is a really good game. What the hell? So yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not, you know, even the people who we view as untouchable in the industry are like sometimes struggle to make something that catches on.
yeah, exactly. Cameron points out, yeah, Concerned Ape is the only person who can claim that title. Yeah, I think the indie space is like a whole different kettle of fish, right? Because you have some people
Yeah,
like as much as I'm not a huge fan of his, like Jonathan Blow, right? He's like I made Braid, made The Witness, that kind of stuff. Where it's like you have those kinds of people who make those games on their own or close to on their own. Obviously, a lot of games get support from like music and stuff like that and bits and pieces, but a lot of them are very much the brainchild of a single person.
yeah, exactly.
And it's really cool that games can do that now, where it's like a single person can make a video game.
Right.
And it's
Single person or just a handful of people.
yeah, and it doesn't have to look like Brotato.
And that's why I love double A games. Because the double A games have the budget that indie games don't, but still have the ability to be risky and creative
And a
more
little
so
bit
than a
jank.
triple A game. And a little bit jank. Definitely a little bit jank. But they can be more creative and riskier, take more risks than triple A games, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's the I think that's the biggest problem with the triple A industry right now is no one's taking risks in the triple A industry.
No, and like that's also my biggest worry for this is that you've got some people from Rocksteady, one of the most well loved developers from the Arkham series. I know Arkham Knight didn't launch amazingly, but and you get them doing a AAA game teaming up with Xbox who are funding it, and then you're like, okay, how many shitty microtransactions are going to be in this game? Like, how much monetization are you going to cram it? Because it's like, oh, it's a single player AAA action adventure. I'm like, okay, good, because I'm glad we're not doing the live service thing anymore. But I'm like, but how are you guys going to fuck this up? Like, how is this going to absolutely just bend us over and just be like, no, well, it's like, yeah, we spent a lot of money on this game. You need to give us some skins and stuff. Like, what are you doing? Yeah,
It's gonna be 20 frames unlocked frame rate.
yeah,
And yeah. No, and then even then, Microsoft funding it. What is that like? Microsoft's allegedly funding a bajillion studios right now. We haven't seen anything from it. And what we have seen has been kind of unimpressive.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Hellblade. Hellblade.
Yes,
To be
and
fair.
like
I've
when
heard
he was sort of like
fantastic
double
things
A,
about
like
Hellblade.
Hellblade, I think fits nice, and like, but also like Tango
Yeah.
GameWorks is like Hi-Fi Rush is a double A game, like that's
Yeah.
So I'm totally with you. I'm just worried that we're just not going to see too many more of those. We kind of went through that with the 360, where it was like we had the 360, we had a lot of double A games. When we had like a lot more third party publishers, basically it's things that THQ put out.
Yeah.
And then they went bankrupt, and then it was kind of like, okay, we're just going into the AAA space and the multiplayer space, and then the indies kind of did their own thing, and then this whole fucking live service and battle passes and subscription bullshit, and it's just the industry's just fucked right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All my attention usually is right now is towards indie developers, double A games, and old stuff that people liked, and I'm trying to finally get to.
Yeah,
Because everything new that's coming out seems like it's just like not worth your time.
yeah, in the AAA space for sure. Yeah, definitely agree.
Yep.
All right. Another quick one. I said that about the last one, but we spent 20 minutes on it. Square Enix.
You can't get me and you in a room together, man. We're just
I
gonna
know,
talk.
I know. Well, look, I knew this was going to happen. That's why I was like, yeah, two-person show, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Square Enix is teasing that the Dragon Quest III remake might be coming out for the series consoles on Xbox, which is great because we don't fucking get Dragon Quests on Xbox usually outside of 11. But so yeah, they're doing a 2D HD remake for Dragon Quest III. They're gonna have some stuff to reveal about it. Probably next week.
Yeah. I'd like the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remake too. I think those came to Switch. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think they were on PlayStation.
No, I don't think so. But there's apparently a talk that they may be doing those as well in the same engine because they built it and they're like, well, we might as well.
It's Square, right?
Yeah.
That's who. Yeah, Square Enix. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, because Square has been making promises. It feels like at least twice in the last year, saying we'll be bringing our games to Xbox as much as possible. So
Yeah.
hopefully, that just means we get more Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy 16 and the Pixel remasters and Theatrhythm
Jesus.
and Octopath 2.
Wow.
I'm not like holding count or anything about all the games.
I've heard Octopath Traveler 2 is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe Square Enix has some stuff to say at the Summer Games Fest.
Yeah. I would. I mean, they just released 14 on Xbox. I still need to play it, but ESO's been one MMO at a time.
I was going to say, talk about having a second fucking job. Yeah.
Yeah, one MMO at a time. I'd do 16 again. I platted 16. I didn't do the DLC, and I didn't do the title updates. I didn't want to do the title update because you have to play through the hard mode to plat the game.
Yeah.
But the title update was like, play through the hard mode, or now you have to beat Omega on the hard mode. And I'm like, because it's not really that hard.
Yeah.
Everything's just more spongy.
Yeah.
It's like, Anyway, I digress. I would plat, or 100% 16 again if they brought it over. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to give the Dragon Quest games another look in. I mean, like, because it kind of passed me by. Like, I played, was it 7 on the PlayStation 2? That was the big one that I think it was the, because obviously...
Was 7 on the PS2?
Was it 7 or 8? I'm trying to remember.
I thought 7 was on the PS1, but I could be dead wrong.
It was the one with Jessica. I mean, as how
the only Dragon Quest I played is 11. Like, it's that Dragon Quest has been one of those things where it's like Square's two big babies have always been Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
I got sucked into Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest has always been like, I'll get to you. But
it's one of those series. And again, they have so many games. It's Dragon Quest 8. Sorry, Dragon Quest 8 is the one I'm thinking of. Journey of the Cursed King. Yeah, that was the one that's on PlayStation 2. That was the big like breakout hit for them because that was Level 5, who I mean I love pretty much everything Level 5's ever done, like stuff like Dark Cloud and Professor Layton and all fucking Ni no Kuni. Oh man, I'm just looking through their games. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I played a lot of these and I also have missed a lot of these because they've been exclusive to PlayStation.
I need going on another medical leave, man. Too many games to play.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to see. I quite enjoyed the little Dragon Quest 11. There is kind of the little 2D. You can play through the game in 2D, and they kind of have those little dungeons from the old Dragon Quest games.
I never did that. I wish I would have a little bit more, like switch to the 2D mode or like try to play part of the game through on 2D or whatever.
I kind of messed around with it a little bit. It was a really kind of cool idea. I mean, it was a bit limiting. Like there was some stuff you just couldn't do in 2D that you needed to be 3D to do. But
yeah,
it was a really interesting idea. So obviously they've got a real passion for that. But yeah, it looks like Dragon Quest 3 is coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC, and Windows and Steam. So curious on when that's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see how the series goes without Toriyama. considering he does all the artwork for those games.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see what 12 will be like.
Apparently, he did also mention that 12 is still in the works. They've confirmed it hasn't gone anywhere. They haven't cancelled it. They just don't have anything to show right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of remakes, it looks like we've got 2 more Resident Evil remakes in the least surprising news of all time, considering how well Resident Evil 2 and 4 did. We don't talk about 3. So it looks like Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica are finally going to get remade. Looks like maybe 0 is first and then Code Veronica afterwards. We're not quite sure there yet.
Okay. So Code Veronica makes sense. They haven't touched that one since the 360 port. But 0... So are they trying to do like a ground-up remake like they did for 2 and 3?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. I think they're going to.
Why are they going to do that for 1?
Look, you got to know that 1's the next one, right? Like they do Code Veronica, they do 0, and then they come all the way back to 1.
I want to play 1 in the same vein of the other ones, because and also if they remade Code or Resident Evil 0 from the ground up, that means I wouldn't have to do the existing Xbox One port of Resident Evil 0, and not because it looks bad, but because apparently it's a pain in the ass. It's like hard.
Yeah, Keo has been playing it on his stream, and he had a pretty fun time with it. But I'm very curious to see how much of it he goes back to try and get all the achievements. Because
yeah, I did RE1 on the Xbox One, and I loved that. Oh, that's a good one for a game I just got sucked into the completion. Just had a blast start to finish. I usually hate multiple playthroughs of a game.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the 4 times I had to play through Resident Evil 1 was just like so fun every time. I got to the point where I was like learning the speed run. I was watching a video for the first like run or 2 or whatever, and then it got to the point where I was just reading off like the official speed run notes of like go here. I'm like yeah. And it was so satisfying. But Resident Evil 0 looks like a pain in the ass, so I would be okay doing. I'm typically like, I'm not a stacker.
Sure.
I will typically be okay doing the latest version of a game. So I would be totally okay doing Code Veronica's X and RE0 in a new remake version and just skipping the old ones. I'm not talking about them.
Yeah, I've got... We talked a couple weeks ago about games that we just kind of got started on because of... we kind of didn't really get far in. Code Veronica is one of those ones that I have a save halfway through. And I know that game is not overly difficult because you can kind of use some tricks, but... Man, going back and playing those tank control games, I struggle every time. I just, I'm so... Yeah. The older I get, the worse I get at it. Like, the harder it is to go back when you're just kind of used to, being coddled by modern control schemes and accessibility options.
That's what I'm nervous about. Is the Tomb Raider collection in tank controls, or do they update?
They have both. So I believe they had the original controls, and then I think they've got some updated controls, but it's still...
Yeah, I would redo Resident Evil 1 though, even though I've done the Xbox One version. If they finally give me a ground up remake, I would do it, because Resident Evil 1 is my favorite Resident Evil.
It's an amazing game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just flawless execution front to back. I know everyone talks about 4 or 2 or obviously 6. We all know that one's fantastic. The best Resident Evil out there. No. Everyone talks about 4 and 2 and now even 7, but I think the classic Resident Evil 1 is just the perfect Resident Evil experience.
It's funny, actually, because I bought Resident Evil 1 and 0 on the 360 and then also rebought them as part of... Because I remember when they had the Resident Evil collection was on 90% sale by accident or something years and years ago, and everyone just picked up the entirety of it. And I've never gone back and done them. And I'm like... Because I did... I started 4, but I did 5 and 6, and then because I've done the ports, and I have half of 4 done, and I'm just like, should I go back and do 1? I don't know.
I think 1 is just by and large the best atmosphere of any of the Resident Evils. I know everyone talks 4 is really good gameplay and whatever, but it's really just an action game. But Resident Evil 1 is when I think Resident Evil, that's the atmosphere I'm thinking of for sure every time.
I'm with you.
That's also why I like 7, is because I feel like they brought that back a little bit. like 7 was a total callback to Resident Evil 1
Oh,
in so many
100%. Yeah, like
ways.
the whole house stuff and the very like sort of condensed house and garden, and that's pretty much the game. Like, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I'm very curious. I mean, people have been asking for Code Veronica for a long time, so I'll be curious to see what they have to show there. Because it has been like, what Resident Evil 4 came out March last year, and we haven't really heard anything else from the Resident Evil team for a while now.
Yeah, true. They're not talking about making a new game, so I guess going back
Yeah.
and remaking some old games would make sense. And apparently they're pretty good at spitting them out because Resident Evil 2 remake came out, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a whole from the ground up remake. And then I feel like almost in the blink of an eye, they're like, and Resident Evil 3 now too. I was
Yeah,
like,
but to be fair,
you
also
didn't
3 was
even.
like half of 3. Like, that was a very.
E-
I'm like, I was fine with it because I was like, I just wanted to have like a relatively truncated experience. I just didn't necessarily need it to be a
Yeah,
one-to-one remake.
for sure. I think the criticisms are valid for sure. But I was just like, whoa, dude, you didn't even let me digest the fact that RE2 remake came out.
Yeah.
And you're already like, here's 3.
Yeah.
And then even not long after, they're like, and we're doing 4. But they
Everyone
obviously
was like,
spent
of
more
course
time
you're
on
doing
4.
4. Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
worst kept secret.
Yeah. I still think that game didn't need a remake, but
I kind of agree. I enjoyed most of that, but it kind of took the piss with how many playthroughs you need to do with that game.
yeah.
And then our last story was kind of, I guess, the big news story that came out outside of Sony leaking all of the new Destiny expansion like a week early.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for them. Bungie just can't catch a break, apparently.
Yeah, I'm way too out of Destiny at this point to even. I'm just like everyone's like new light or whatever light or lost some light,
Final Shape.
some
Was the
whatever
last
it
one,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, apparently might be their last one for Destiny, so I guess interesting to see.
Well, they said 10-year project. It's been
It's
10
been
years
10
now.
years, I guess, yeah. But yeah, the big story we saw was that they announced Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Again, everyone kind of knew that was kind of the direction they were going in. Apparently, it's still going to be playable on Xbox One. So it's not a series exclusive. And apparently it's coming to Game Pass day one.
I hate the first part.
Yeah, right?
I hate that we're 4 years into a next generation of consoles and we're not on console exclusive or like generation exclusivity yet.
For a first party game. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this was a rocky next gen.
Yes.
Because of COVID and availability, and like I think we have an unprecedented
Sure.
the world of hobbies has an unprecedented amount of scalpers right now. That's easier than ever to bought, and everyone's trying to side hustle hobbies.
And then I was going to say, it didn't help that crypto miners basically took every fucking piece of silicon around to just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a weird console gen. So that probably explains why they're still like on support for the old ones. Because to be fair, I know a lot of people who, by this point, everyone I know who's moderately into gaming would have had their Series X by now.
Yeah.
But I know people who are still like just finally getting their Series X's. I'm like, dude, we're like over halfway done with the generation. Like, what are you doing? So, yeah, no, I mean, it's dumb and I don't like it, but I think it's a weird product. I feel like Microsoft probably didn't even do it. Like,
I get the feeling that they're going to release this on PS4, so they were like, well, we probably need to put it on the previous gen for us too. Right? Like,
oh, maybe. I feel like PlayStation's been better about saying, no, this is a PS5 game.
well, they said they were going to do that, and then they didn't. Because if you think about like the stuff that's exclusive to PS5, that's not playable on, like, you get basically Ratchet and Clank, I think Spider-Man 2, but not Miles Morales. Miles Morales was on both.
Yeah.
God of War 2?
Are they really?
I don't know, actually. Yeah. Again, I know it was a lot of stuff was still PS4, which is weird to me, where it's just like.
It's funny. It's like last gen, both consoles were like, nah, screw the last gen. That's old news. And like everyone was like, they were all very super strict on the new console.
Mm-hmm.
Now this next gen is it's kind of like, they're not ready to let go. Maybe that means that they have, like, obviously the Series X and PS5 are way more powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One X,
Yeah.
PS4 Pro even and Xbox. But maybe that just means they weren't really that close to fully using the hardware to its full capabilities. I don't know.
I don't know. I
I don't
mean,
know.
like when we got to like the end of the PlayStation 2 generation is when we saw the best games, right? It was because when like everyone had gotten used to the platform, they were pushing up against the limits of it, and they were kind of like they were just like, this is we fucking know how this thing works. Having an 8 year
It's
cycle,
true.
having an 8 year cycle for a console works fine when your games take a year and a half to 2 years to make, right? But when your games take 3, 4, 5 years to make, you get maybe one and a half games out a generation before you have to move on to new hardware. Like that's insane to think about.
That's fair. Yeah. I didn't think about that part of it.
It's just
I
yeah,
mean, I think about it all the time that, like, you know, we got Jack and Daxter 2 and Jack and Daxter 3 like a year apart,
yeah,
basically.
great fucking games.
And now I think about the fact that the last Ratchet and Clank we saw was 4 years ago, and there's no mention of a new one, and the one before that was like 3 years before it, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah,
So
it is weird to think about, right? And yeah, just I don't know. This generation's been very very strange. But yeah, I was just like God of
it,
War Ragnarok is on PS4. Like there's the Sony did make a big song and dance about like they believe in generations, but they brought out just about everything on PS4 as well because the install
yeah,
base is just so huge.
yeah, true. I mean, it was the best selling console of that time period for sure. And again, like I said, like and people just there it was harder to upgrade, whether it was financial strain, availability. Um, well, I guess those would be the two big things: financial strain or
And
availability.
then also just I
Like,
guess like just impetus to do so, right? Like I think that just there wasn't a lot of reason.
yeah, like, oh, I don't really, yeah, like either an
It
undesire, like not really an apathy towards it, or like you said, like we've kind of said, it was like kind of a perfect storm. It was like no one, the PS5's not available, or Series X, let's say. Series X isn't available. So people aren't getting them. Okay, well, we need to make our new games on the old console. Two, because people can't get the new console. Oh, people are just still buying all of their games on the old console, so people aren't upgrading. So there's like if we make so it's just like this. It's an Ouroboros of eating it. This generation just eating itself.
yeah yeah. And then yeah, combine that with chip shortages and prices going. And like the other thing with the thing was like the consoles don't seem to be getting cheaper. You know, that was
Yeah,
kind of the thing where consoles were usually like the loss leader and you made it up on the games. But with things like Game Pass, games as a service, games getting more expensive to make, taking longer to make, like the industry is in such, like we said, is in such a strange spot right now. You know, we're talking mid generation refreshes here, right? Like this is when this would happen, right? And it's like this generation feels like it's barely
yeah,
fucking started.
yeah, exactly.
Like I got my
No,
Series X basically pretty close to launch because I got it for the Hall of Fame competition, right? But
yeah.
even then, if I hadn't done that, I would have been waiting for a deep discount before I pick one up because just there's not a lot. I think I've played maybe like 10 Series X exclusive games.
Yeah, no, I don't think I played my first Series X game for a while after it came out. I think my first Series X game that had the X/S on it
Mm-hmm.
um was Destiny 2.
Oh
Like it was a
right,
game that was already old. Like,
yeah,
and I'm
right.
playing ESO now, which is I feel like the first game I actually was like I just launched
Mm.
and it was like this has an upgrade was Resident Evil 7. And it like a noticeable
Mm.
upgrade. Other than that, I can't think of many like Series X games I played that were like this is a next gen Series X game for sure.
Yeah, like
I would have bought it anyway because I will just I like tech.
yeah, sure.
Um, I definitely always have to have the latest and greatest person, which is probably more of a fault than anything, but
I mean,
it is what it is.
it's not it's not the worst fault, right? Like I can
No,
totally understand.
there could be way worse. I mean, I could be buying $30 Fortnite skins. So,
Yes, this is true. I'm looking through
um,
my list right now of like series games that I have the Series X or Series X and S slash on them. Um, And there are 27 titles that I've played that are Series X exclusive. And even then, most of them are ports. Yes, like, okay, so Need for Speed
You,
Unbound.
the Series XS thing, I have 8,
Right.
apparently, according
And
to TA.
yeah. Series Sam 4, apparently.
And
But
I don't even, yeah, Series Safer was mine. Scorn, Metal
Scorn, yeah.
Hellsinger, Deathloop, and Ghostwire Tokyo are mine. But I'm pretty sure those are all aren't those all playable on the
I think
Xbox
they
One?
are, yeah. I've just went into my TA game collection, just filtered it by platform, and then just this platform underneath it.
Yeah,
But it's like, yeah,
me too.
like Avatar is on there, Ghost Runner 2, Resident Evil 4, I guess, was series exclusive. So like, there's a few, but it's been pretty slim pickings because a lot of the stuff is just actual, literal trash re-releases of things like Mecha Bolt and Energy Cycle.
Yeah. I make I keep my game collection tallied in a spreadsheet
Right.
by consoles. And figuring out how to categorize Xbox Series X and Xbox One games post 22 has been a nightmare. I'm like, do I go by the fact that it's labeled like really no difference between playing it on the Xbox One and the Series X, or do I go based off the fact that the Series X came out? I've settled on the Series X came out November 13th or something, 2020. Anything after that goes on the Series X tab.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's like the agreement I made with myself, but I still like am kind of unsure. Like it still feels like the jury's out on what quantifies as a Series X game or not. 4 years into a console
Which
generation,
is nuts, right? Like,
right?
and I think that like it's okay to have backwards compatibility, right? Like I think that's great,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's just like this generation just kind of feels kind of half baked in a lot of ways.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it feels like it doesn't feel like what's the number, I guess. This would be eighth or ninth. It feels like generation 8.5.
yeah, it really does, and I think we were saying that when it first came out, and we were hoping that it would kind of even out as time went on, but
It hasn't.
it has
4 years
not.
later.
Yeah,
Halfway through a console generation cycle, we are still on generation 8.5.
yeah. Um,
Oh, wow.
but I guess for Call of Duty Black Ops, I mean, are you interested? Are you going to play it? I mean, are you?
Um, yeah, I got out of Call of Duty back in Black Ops 2 was the last one I probably 100%ed.
Mm-hmm.
I played World War II because I had a friend who wanted to try it, and I said, sure, why not? It was going back to World War II. I loved World at War. I've done all the zombie stuff, mostly like all the Easter eggs, but I played maybe an hour or two of the multiplayer and no hours of the campaign. Um, but I don't know what's like sprung this, but I've been recently like, man, I kind of want to just go through all the Call of Duty campaigns.
All right, yeah.
But like no achievement hunting, just literally just set it on normal and just rock through them in release order and see how I feel about it. Um, Black Ops 6, I mean, everyone Black Ops is the cool one, right? That's the one everyone cares
It is
about.
now, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. When they said 6, I literally was like, what was 5? Where's
Cold
5?
War.
And then it was Cold War. I think it was Cold. I remember. I was told it was Cold War, but and then 4 didn't even have a campaign.
Nope, no.
So is 4 or 5 canonical in the? Is it all sequential?
I
Does
don't
it,
even
like,
at this
feel
point. I checked out at 2 as well. I was like
Yeah,
I did 2 and then I
yeah,
did Advanced Warfare. I think it was like the off year for Sledgehammer, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that was interesting. And then I just
yeah,
didn't play Call of Duty until they started doing the Modern Warfare games again.
yeah. The modern everyone talks very highly about Modern Warfare 3's story,
Mm-hmm.
and I always feel out of the loop for that one. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this is such best Call of Duty. I don't know. So I kind of want to run through them all, and I've missed them all. Like literally, like I said, Black Ops 2, last campaign I've ever done. Maybe I think I did Modern Warfare 3. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. So I've missed out on a good 10, 12 years of
It's a lot of Call of Duty,
campaigns.
It's kind of insane to think about.
It is a lot of Call of Duty when you consider they're usually for a while were annual releases.
Yeah.
So
It coming to Game Pass is a pretty big get for them, right? Like, I guess, I mean, obviously they own it now, but there was a lot of talk around how they couldn't really afford to put this game out
I
and basically
didn't
give it away, quote unquote.
I didn't think they would. Yeah, I
Mm.
totally thought they were like, yeah, cool. Xbox owns Activision now, but I was like, fully expecting Black Ops 6 to be $70. And not even mad about it. Like there's some games where I would be like, oh, that should be on Game Pass. What are you
Yeah,
talking about? But Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launching at $70, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Fair enough.
It's like the
For sure.
second biggest game out there outside of GTA. So, like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. But they're doing it, which is crazy, and it's cool. Like I'm not obviously going to be like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's not a very business savvy decision. Like that's not very strategic of them. Their quarter four profits are really going to take a hit because of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great, awesome, good for gamers. That's sick. But I wouldn't have been mad if they hadn't.
Yeah. I am
But
still.
I'm also not the fan base.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm still holding out that they put some of the older ones on there because, again, like, I've missed a lot of them. I might want to go back, and I heard good things about Cold War for the most part. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would be. I am same. I'm hoping they add, just dump them all on the Game Pass. That'd be great for me. Because I want to go play through them all. I don't really feel like buying them all digitally. They're all still like expensive.
So fucking expensive. Yeah. They never go on sale.
I mean, even the 360 ones are still like $40, I think, or maybe they're 20. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but I know they're not giving them away.
Which they should be at
as
this
old as they
point.
are.
But yeah.
Yes. So I'd be stoked if they just dumped Call of Duty Classic through Cold War on Game Pass. I'd be like, all right, see you guys. Like next next pod, I got Call of Duty to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it.
Just come start screaming about the numbers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, man. Hey, if anyone wants to help me out with World at War, I got like 2 achievements left. I need to get one zombie one. I should probably head up Shadowless Life for that, actually.
Yeah, he'd be good on the do.
He's goaded to that game.
Cracked.
All right. Well, that's all the news we've got. So I'll quickly go through the Game Pass updates. So we're a little bit behind because we're kind of, we're getting towards, well, we're in June now. So we had Senua's, we had Hellblade 2 come out. We had Galactic Care and Haunty come out. Moving Out 2 came out just the other day, which I'll talk a little bit about. We also just had Humanity and Lords of the Fallen added like yesterday. Which, again, I'm excited for both of those. And we've also got a game called Firework and Rolling Hills coming out on June 4th. And then I'm sure that on stage they'll have a shitload of stuff they want to talk about. Again, like we said, they feels like they're kind of keeping their powder dry on a few things. We also haven't had a lot of leaks yet, which is kind of interesting. Usually this is like, this is like Leaky Civ kind of territory where you get a lot of like trailers coming out. But I guess we still have a week to go, I think, before the showcase. I think it's June 6th. So I guess we'll keep an eye out. We don't know what's leaving yet because it's the first here, but everything that was going to be leaving has now left. So hopefully you got JoJo's and everything else done, and Chicory.
Hope you played Chicory. If you didn't, you should buy it anyway because it's good.
Yeah,
I've done it twice.
I enjoyed Chicory quite a bit. It was we put it on our Game of the Year list, so Char absolutely loved it, so highly recommend it. Also, it is the new month, so we have started our new theme. So our previous theme was Get to Work, where we were playing job simulators and doing chores and working for the man with things like, detective games and house flipping, and Shane was raising a baby, the hardest job of all, There's a lot going on. So if you don't know, go check out our theme channel on the Discord if you want to come hang out and talk about those games. But we've got a new theme. This theme is for June is Down Under. Now I still debated whether it was going to be Down Under UNDA or Down Under. I went with ER just so non-Australian New Zealanders could probably read what we're talking about. But this is a bit of a more nebulous one where it's kind of up for interpretation. So I've chucked a couple of suggestions in the channel, basically. If you're looking for stuff that's made or set in Australia or New Zealand or in the Southern Hemisphere, it's probably not a bad idea. But also, if you're looking to any game that goes underground, if you've got, a SteamWorld Dig or a Subnautica, you go underwater or going into the depths. Agony, exactly. You're going into hell. Yeah, hell is a good one. Diablo is probably not a bad shout either. Yeah, very curious to hear your guys' takes on this and kind of what games, and we'll argue about what counts or what doesn't. So feel free to post some suggestions and things you're thinking about playing. I'm probably going to go back to Doom Eternal. That's been one that's been sitting in the sort of unfinished log for quite a while. But yeah, I'm going to start thinking about some games for that. Yeah, I've got a lot. I got a lot that we could probably work on this. I mean, if you're going to play Mad Max, now's the time.
That's a good one. Oh man, that has a discontinued.
Oh, it doesn't really.
But
Fuck, that's right.
it does, yeah. But it's still worth playing. That was a surprisingly fantastic game. Go play it anyway. Go play it on an alt, or go not care about it discontinued because it was a really good game.
Yeah, totally agree. So yeah, let us know what the suggestions are. We'll probably have some more next week. I know that Kia was cooking up a couple of things once we kind of decided on the theme.
I bought Prison Architect years ago, and I can't wait to bust that one out.
And for those of you who don't understand what Jake is saying, Australia was quite famously a penal colony for the British. So yeah, escaping prison is probably I say that fits. That's fine. Oh man, I wonder if we could. I was just thinking.
Prison Architect is actually so perfect because penal colony, and then you built a colony. So the Prison Architect is building Australia.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the founding fathers.
Exactly. Can you name your is there any customization of what you can name in prison? Can you name your prison?
I'm sure you could name it. Yeah.
Oh, dude! I can just name it Australia.
It's like this is Prison Sydney. This is Prison Melbourne.
Oh gosh, really fun.
That's great. All right, well, let's get into what we've been playing. I will quickly just say that I finally got through Need for Speed Unbound. So I finally was like, okay, you know what? We just need to fucking get this done. Put my foot down, smashed through it, and I remember when I first came and started talking about this back in fucking February when we were doing that for the theme month. I was really not digging it. I just come off Burnout Paradise, and I love Burnout Paradise, and it was like, cool, another Criterion game, more racing. Need for Speeds has got the kind of street racing vibe to it, but was really not feeling it. Once I got to like the third or fourth week of the game, like the third week and the fourth week, where you kind of get some slightly faster cars, you get a bit more customization options, they throw more money at you so you can do more stuff. I started enjoying the game a lot more. I think that the early game on that is just kind of not great. I think that it's kind of a bit restrictive. But I also know that like I kind of have this thing where it's like, well, I have to win every race. Like I have to. And it's like, well, in the game you don't. Like you get money if you come second or whatever. I'm like, no, I need to be first on every single race. Otherwise, I'm just going to restart it.
I restart. Yeah, if I'm not going to win in a racing game, I restart.
Yeah. And it's like, and also the fact that the game gives you limited restarts was one of those things that just really was like, I was like, I get it because you want to have consequences, so you don't just save scum your way through the game. But it just really put pressure on me in a way that I did not enjoy. So it did not gel with me. But I got through it. Wasn't too difficult in the end. A little bit grindy. There's a little bit like too many collectibles, too many little side challenge stuff to do and that kind of stuff. But overall, pretty well made game. I like the kind of art style and the kind of graffiti stuff that they do and the cool kind of effects that they put on the cars. The sort of comic book styley stuff. Cameron still hates the fucking music of that game. I think it's fine. It's just it's very modern. So I kind of get where he's coming from.
I am curious to see what the music is because I would like to play that game.
It's got a lot of
so now I need to know
ASAP Rock and that ASAP Rock and that kind of stuff in it. I mean, he's in the game, so like
ASAP Rocky. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually a character in the game. So there's a few different. It's kind of that it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Lot of hip hop.
Yep.
I also played Moving Out 2, like Isaac talked about, just came out and like kind of got like just jumped into it. Took like 10 hours, more of the same as the first game. Still has the really nice assist modes where you can just make the game kind of like really, really kind of straightforward to play by yourself. Definitely more fun with more people, but like if you just kind of want to achievement hunt it, putting the assist modes on and just kind of running through it, real easy. Again, there's a few challenges, but it does the nice thing where if you are like every map or every level has like 5 stars. You get 1 star for finishing it, 1 star for finishing it quickly, and then like 3 little like mini challenges that you don't know beforehand unless you look at a guide, but they get revealed to you for your second playthrough of it. And I think there's you can get like 260 stars. I think is the total amount, but you only need 200. So it's pretty forgiving in terms of like, hey, you get stuck on a challenge, yeah, just don't do it. Just like don't worry about it. A lot of collectibles. The humor is basically just puns the whole way through. It's dad jokes. The game. More of the same with the first game, but the kind of thing is that they kind of done a thing where you open up a door to alternate dimensions. So you kind of go to like a candy dimension, and then like a wizard dimension, and then like a city of the future. And when you go to the city of the future, it's like, yeah, we basically just banned reality TV and social media, and everything just turned out great. Everything's wind powered. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's
what do we need to do to get wind
apparently
off the
that's
ground?
it. Those are the two things we just like. The society would have been fixed if we just nipped those in the bud.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So I definitely recommend it. If you enjoy the first one, you know what you're getting into. But yeah, definitely jump on that. What have you got? Anything you want to talk about there, Jake?
Yeah. I mean, so I haven't been gaming as much as I've been wanting to because I got back to work after leave. So it's just like I work and then I'm tired. But I think last time I talked about this too, where I was getting addicted to ESO. When I was on leave, it was very easy to play every single day and just like do a bunch of. I played like 3 or 4 hours every day just questing, and it was great. Still doing that, but I've dialed it back to doing some dailies in a daily dungeon, and then in the morning and going to work, and then on weekends I'll do a little more grinding. Project Cars is my other grind game. I kind of always have a racing game going because it's something that if I got an hour to game, I don't want to try a hard thing or get into a story.
Sure.
Because who knows when I'll find a save point, or who knows, I want to get into it. Racing game, something I can just do a few races. I usually, bust it out on my lunch breaks, or if I finish something and don't want to start another thing, I'll just switch over to Project Cars. So I've been playing Project Cars. Oh, I did tell you. I was going to tell you that it broke my heart, and it was my own fault that it broke my heart. So you have to, in Project Cars, you have to beat every championship at least once for an achievement. Every like car series or whatever, and they're all kind of varying in different amounts of races. And then one I was doing is 19 races long.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's fast cars though.
I was gonna say, is it back to back to back? You just got to keep rolling through them, or
no,
okay,
no, you
right,
can.
Okay.
It's like a. They do, and I wish Forza stuck with this because I like this style of game. But they do like a race season kind of thing. Read your calendar.
Right. Okay.
You go to do your events, and they're like you're in your main series. Your main heat is like your car class, but then like you'll do other events throughout the calendar year, and you can skip those or do them if you want. It's kind of cool. It's more like it feels more like a racing career than just like race like Forza is nowadays. But anyway, so I had to do 19 races for this heat or whatever class, but it's Formula A, so they're very quick cars. Each race takes 5 minutes maybe. And you can cancel the season at any time.
Oh no.
And it's all the canceling the season is getting out of your race, and it takes you to the main menu, and I think sometimes it defaults you onto the cancel
button. Oh,
and
no.
I was mashing A. And I was 18 out of 19 races done.
Oh my god.
And I canceled, and I ended the season without noticing. I'm like, what just happened? And I quickly backed out and tried to reload. And I was like, your season has ended. I'm like, okay. And I go look at contracts, and they're like, yeah, you can re-up your Formula A. I'm like, re-up. Okay, so did it finish out the season? And I go look at like the accolade tracker where it tells you if you finished you won the championship.
Oh, no.
And it was still grayed out, and I'm like,
oh, that's brutal.
So that hurt really bad. So I restarted that series before hopping on the pod. So yeah, that's fun. I have the bulk of Project Cars done. I've just got some little things to do. I just got to go run through all the series. But
yeah,
as soon as Project Cars, and I think my next racing game is I'm going to try to mop up Need for Speed. Just Need for Speed.
The Ghost Games one?
Is that who? Yeah.
The one with the title updates that everyone was very unhappy about?
Yes. Yeah, the last title update that I will not be doing because I value my sanity. So I will just call that one good as soon as I'm done with the base game and all the DLC that doesn't suck. Or updates that don't suck. 'cause I started it way long ago.
Yeah.
And then other than those two kind of idly grindy side continuous games that I'm always playing, my main game has been Resident Evil 7.
Mm.
I touched on that briefly earlier about how that was like the first game I've ever played on the Xbox where it was like you have an update and it took you have an upgrade you can apply for the new console, and it took the game from like a 20 gig game to like 60 gigs.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 is, I mean, it's old news at this point. I feel like most people played it. Like, if you don't know what Resident Evil 7 is and you're playing video games, you're living under a rock, but most likely, or you don't like horror games at all. Which is understandable because RE7, Resident Evil 7 is probably I would say the very first ever scary Resident
It's
Evil.
fucking terrifying. Yeah, like
Yeah.
especially like the opening of that game is yeah.
Yeah. I remember playing the demo, and I was in college just with my friends, lights off, just shitting myself, dude.
Yeah.
That game, like Resident Evil 7 is the first actually terrifying Resident Evil.
I could not imagine playing that
and
in VR.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and now I'm even used to the game. Like I've done the base game completely. I'm on to the DLC. So I've done my normal playthrough. I've done my Madhouse playthrough, and I've done my speedrun. And even still, being used to the game, I'll turn around and there'll be a molded in my face, and I'll jump still. I'll just like, ah! And I'll start fucking mashing my buttons to knife it. I finished banned footage, the first volume the other day. I have Ethan Must Die, notoriously.
Yep. I still
Ethan
have that
Must
one
Die.
sitting needing to do because that's it's bullshit.
It was the one achievement of the entire DLC that made me go, maybe I'll leave this at base game completion.
Yeah.
And I just won't touch the DLC. And then eventually I was just like, no, because some of the DLC looks really cool, and it still only says it's an 8 to 10 hour DLC.
Yeah.
And the two little band footages took probably, I don't know, I'd say 3 hours of that. So I'm like, okay, I'm in for what? 5 hours of Ethan Must Die? Like I just gotta learn it. Okay, fine. And honestly, if it plays anything like the arena band footage, if you're familiar with Resident Evil 7, the first band footage is like you're trapped in one kind of area
in the basement,
and it's like and it's just wave survival. Most Resident Evil historically is all survival horror. Try to avoid the enemies if you can, and you're usually only facing one or two at a time. But this mode is like you have like 4 guys chasing you down, and you have to kill them. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So if Ethan Must Die is anything like that, where they kind of you can tell in the band footage they've tweaked the game a bit to make it more combat friendly.
Yeah,
like I don't feel like I'm taking as much damage by default, and I feel like I'm doing more damage by default. So if it's anything like that, I'm not too worried about it, but we'll see. It might make me quit and go just do the other DLCs and then call it a day.
Yeah, I still need to do the Nightmare and Night Terror arena things. They're just like, ugh.
I read what they were, and I just did a groan. I was just like, ugh, I don't want to. This isn't what I want out of Resident Evil.
Exactly.
And the same thing with Ethan Must Die. It's literally just like, this isn't what I want out of this game. And that's what I hate about DLC. Is sometimes DLC is really great and awesome and welcome, and sometimes I am like, this isn't what I signed up for, man. Like if I wanted to play a roguelite, I would have played a roguelite. You know, like
or if I wanted, again, I'm thinking of things like Indivisible, where it was like they were like, yeah, the game's out, and then obviously it has the unattainables, but they're like, yeah, we're going to put in a combat and platforming challenge mode. I was like, bro, I'm playing this to be a relatively chill side-scrolling RPG. Like, I don't need to be the very best there ever was. You know, like
stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane. So Resident Evil DLC, and that sparked a whole conversation, a whole debate on. I think I told you, podcast conversation you should have is, first off, canon DLC, is it ethical to have DLC that is technically canon to the franchise and story and game? Is it ethical to have that locked behind DLC? And then the other kind of not really debate, actually, it wasn't really debate. It was more just me making a statement, and I think a bunch of people saying, "Yeah, true, real, dude,
Down with this kind
so
of thing.
true."
Yeah.
Yeah, but just how it's like I feel like especially in today's gaming climate, um, DLC is much more cumbersome than it ever used to be.
Mm.
It can come out of nowhere. It seems like you doesn't seem like you're ever safe.
Yep.
It's always increasingly more bullshit. Like I feel like there's far less just like story DLC that adds on, and it's the developers constantly trying to one up themselves or like put bullshit in the game. Like you beat the game on ultra hard mode, cool. Now beat the game on like super dumb crazy hard mode. If the enemy looks at you,
Yeah.
your head will
And
explode
also,
mode.
if you die, we delete your save file and you just start again.
Yeah. If you die, we actually just hard reset your console and delete your Xbox Live account.
We actually take progress away from other games that you've played.
Yeah, yeah. Like, that's what DLC is these days. And I hate it, man. Like, it's so cumbersome. It doubles. DLC, I find, is not adding to my experience. It's doubling my experience of the game.
Yeah.
And by the time I'm done with the base game and then even a little bit of the DLC, but have like so much left, I'm ready to be done. I want to play a different game now.
And I think that with Game Pass, that's become even more of a thing where it's like, I mean, like, it's a shame that we don't have Shane on the show this week because he would definitely jump onto this as well because, like, he has near PTSD from this shit in terms of, like, his completion percentage is near at 100% as anyone that I know. And
Yeah.
he still thinks about every game that he starts because he's like, okay, how long has this game been out? Is the developer still doing stuff for it? Are they going to bring out more content for it? And I've gotten a bit more relaxed about it because I'm like, I'll get to the DLC at some stage and I'll slog through it. I probably won't have a great time, but whatever, I'll do it. And then I get bit with shit like fucking Call of Duty, where they were like, yeah, I did Modern Warfare 2 campaign, and they're like, yeah, Modern Warfare 3, we're just going to bolt that list onto 2. So even if you don't want to play 3, guess what, motherfucker?
Overwatch 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I 100% in Overwatch, and I literally was like, oh my god, Overwatch 2 is coming. I'm going to be free.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
We're just going to change the list to Overwatch 2 and keep adding to it. Like, fuck off.
I remember when Phantasy Star Online 2 was the thing where they were like, the new Neon Genesis thing that was like the kind of reimagining they were doing in that game.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, it's going to be a separate list. It's a brand new game. And I was like, I don't know. I might just wait and see. And then sure enough, they were just like, no, we're just going to keep using the same list and just keep adding to it. It's just, You're just never safe.
And I'm still like, I don't know what they're going to do with Smite 2. Like, are they going to keep adding characters to the Smite 2 and just change the list to Smite 2? I don't even know if that'd be a nice idea because I don't know how close Smite or Hi-Res and Microsoft are, but Smite is dangerously close to the quote-unquote limits of achievements you can have and gamer score you can have.
Sure.
They've almost maxed out, as per Microsoft achievement agreements, which are about as sturdy of agreements as a Jenga tower that's had like 5 moves on it already.
Pretty much. Yeah, would not put too much stock in that, unfortunately.
No. So yeah, I mean those DLC it's increasingly tougher to try to be a completionist. I feel bad for Shane. I think we are the devil and angel, whoever you want to call the devil and angel is up to you to decide, but I really I am totally preaching just do the PlayStation thing, get the plat, and say fuck the DLC unless you really want. And I know Shane is like, no, you didn't 100% the game unless it says 100% on the.
You got to get to the 0-point achievements too. It doesn't matter if the score doesn't go up as long as TA says it's done, then it's done.
Exactly. But, so I'm totally like, just and even just plat. Like I'm even starting to if it has multiplayer, that seems like too much of a pain to organize. Like if I have to get 6 people together, I might just be like, that's okay.
That's
That's okay. I got a full-time job. Like, you really?
Yeah. Prioritizing, I get you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my small rant about DLC. I'm still doing the Resident Evil DLC because it's all single player and doesn't seem too terrible. But yeah, it was when I was getting close to the end of the game and gearing up to the DLC and looking at it, and I was like, I don't know if I ever want to do DLC anymore.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
And then I have on there also, as soon as Resident Evil 7's done, that's my main game. And I might even just start this weekend, because I don't know how much I'll want to play Ethan Must Die. I don't know if that's what I want to waste my entire weekend doing. I just got a copy of Stray in the mail.
Right, yeah.
Stray. I'm going to do it on PS5, because the physical was cheaper.
Fair.
But I'm going to do Stray. I've also, this is a weird petty thing, but I'm also starting to collect PlayStation versions of games more, purely because of the spine art on the case. I've never forgiven Microsoft for going all gray.
Yeah.
I've never forgiven them for that. I miss games looking cool and distinct on my shelf.
Yeah, agreed.
So that was like, it was mostly the fact that a physical copy of Stray on Xbox was $45, which is $15 more than a digital copy to begin with.
I guess limited run probably, yeah.
Might have been. And the PS5 physical copy was $10 cheaper than the digital full price.
Damn, okay,
on Xbox.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, we're going to go with the budget play, and also I'm going to get a game with a cool spine to put on my shelf. So, but yeah, Stray will probably be started this weekend.
Makes sense.
I'm looking forward to that.
In a similar vein, I started Little Kitty Big City. It's the other cat game. We recently got it added to Game Pass. Char was recommending it to me. So I was playing it right before the pod. This game's great. Like it's fucking fantastic. Like I think Stray is a good game in that it's basically like it's a game where you play as a cat, I guess, and you kind of like you just kind of go around a world as from the perspective of a cat.
It's Annapurna, very Annapurna game.
Very much so, right? This is a cat motherfucking game. Like you fall out of a window and you land on the street and you need to climb your way back up to the window because you're an inside cat, and so you're just kind of exploring this kind of city block that you're on. That's been shut down because there's been flooding and there's water. So obviously you're a cat, you can't get across water. But there are no cars or anything because everything's shut down. So kind of there's an interesting conceit there. And you just kind of go around meeting fun little characters and doing little side quests and basically collecting fish to get yourself like your strength meter up. So it has like a climbing, like a very light kind of climbing meter similar to like Breath of the Wild or something, where it's like, you know, you can climb vines up to a certain amount. So as you eat more fish, you can climb further. I think it's like 5 or 6 fish in the game. So it's not a very big game. I'm maybe 2 or 3 hours in, having a great time doing little side quests. When you finish quests, you either get like cute little hats to put on your kitty, or you get like emotes. So like the emotes you start with, you get like sitting, and then you get like the loaf one, you know, we're just the loaf one.
Yes.
And then you get one where you do like the gross, like the gross face whenever it eats something. And then you get one that's like the big stretch, you know, the feet out and the back arched up. It's so fucking cute. It's incredibly cute. Like it's just so well done. I'm a huge fan of black cats anyway, so that works. The sprinting is called zoomies. Like they just kind of they understood why people love cats, and they just kind of make jokes about it the whole way through. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's a little bit of a collectathon, but like in a very light kind of way, in that it's like, jump on. I think it's like you need to jump on you need to like creep up on 20 birds and jump on them, and then like you scare them and they fly away. And there's like little side quests. There's a little chameleon that you meet that is trying to blend into environments, and so he moves from place to place. You're gonna try and find him, like where's Waldo? But he's also really bad at it. It's incredibly cute, very, very fun, very light. I think it's probably only maybe a 4 or 5, maybe 6 hour game if you go for all the achievements. Yeah, definitely recommend it. Get on it. It's on Game Pass. I'll report back once I finish it, probably this afternoon.
Yeah, that was one I definitely wanted to play, and luckily it's pretty respectful of your time. So
yeah, which is again, I was
maybe I'll have to marathon Stray right into Little Kitty Big City, cat game to cat game, back and forth.
Yeah, that's kind of. I was just funny when I saw Stray there. I was like, oh, actually, yeah, that'd be interesting to compare and contrast.
Yeah.
I also
did you do Stray?
I did do Stray. Yeah, I enjoyed Stray quite a bit.
Okay. It's very quick. So
yeah, it was really good. I mean, there's only one really fucking annoying achievement in that game, and it's right early at the beginning where you got to outrun the
not like get hit.
Yeah,
but there's a checkpoint like right there, right?
Yeah, there
so,
is.
Like,
you just keep replaying it, but it took me
just...
like it took me like an hour to get through that bit.
Yeah, yeah,
But then on my second playthrough, the speed run, I managed to do it first try. So I was like, oh, fuck me. All right.
yeah.
I've also been so I have a group on my Xbox for unstarted games. So I have a backlog of started games of about 180 or so. But I was looking at my like unstarted games. And I was like, you know what? Like a lot of my games are started and not gone back to for good reason. But there's just stuff here that I've just never even touched. So I was like, you know what? I need to make a concerted effort to actually play some of these games. And so I tackled like 4 or 5 different games that I've kind of started. I won't go into them because they're kind of smaller titles, not a lot to say about them. But I'm trying to make a bit of an effort here to just play some of the stuff that I was like, okay, yeah, like I as I scroll through my games, I see this. I've been seeing this sitting here for years. I've never even installed it. I obviously bought it at some stage. I don't know anything about it probably, other than it probably has a relatively easy list. I'm just gonna do it. So I did like Guilt Battle Arena, for example, like yesterday, and it was like a fun kind of like 2D party game. Has like a horde mode, really tough challenge kind of thing that was really fucking frustrating, but overall like a fun little kind of like 4-player couch co-op game. I started Amazing Princess Sarah, which is kind of like a 2D platformer with some RPG, like very very light RPG mechanics. And I played those one of those cube games where you got to like roll around a cube on a thing to get to one. Anyway, it's just like it's real basic shit, but just stuff that I'm just like, hey, I need to get this done at some stage, and if I never start it now, I will probably never play any of it.
I should do that 1 month because every time I buy a digital game, which is a lot, every week I go through the sales or not the sales, the new Xbox games this week that TA puts, and anything that is remotely interesting. Like I'm like lukewarm on even. I'm like, that looks neat.
Yeah.
Wish list. Every single one. And then every week, the sales, I have always had this rule ever since I was in college, and it is if the game is cheaper than a Big Mac, I'll buy it.
Fair.
So over the years, I've accumulated just tons and tons and tons of tiny little games because every week, every sale, I'm going out and buying everything that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and even kind of upwards to $10, which is a good chunk of game. And then every game I buy, I have my group split out to TA's estimate of how long to beat.
Oh, yep. Right.
So and not super, super strict. I have 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. I got so many 0 to 10 hours through just over the years that I reached the limit and had to make 0 to 10 2.0.
Amazing.
Group. Yeah. So I just need to go through some of those games like 1 month. Like I bet I could bust through like at least one a day and just start really cranking out.
Yeah.
Like those the two groups combined are probably close to 200 games at this point in my library. So, and it's the same boat. It's just like scrolling through, and I'm just like, I bought this. What's this? Like,
yeah. I was like, well, I spent money here. I should probably like, I need to make a decision. Basically, yeah. I'm like, am I going to play this? If not, if I'm never going to play it, I'm just going to hide it. I was like, I bought this, and like, I'm just like, this is like trash or like whatever.
That's brave. I could never do that. I
yeah. There aren't many.
I lie to myself and tell myself I'm going to get to everything on my list. Everything, even the stuff that takes 500 hours, I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I still have a lot. Like, I still have like with Stranger and Sword City in there for some reason. I was like, fuck me, that's going to take me a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to try and make a bit of a concerted effort to try and just play more. Like, I started up a game called Vesta, which is one that I picked up years ago.
Yeah.
And like,
I know that game.
And
that was one of the cheap. Yeah, it looked cool. It was like it's like a little. I gotta pull it up on
like it's you kind of switch between two different characters solving puzzles and stuff in like a robot and a mechanic.
God, yeah.
And it's like yeah.
Can a theme? One of the themes be just like, I don't even want to call them indie games, but just random games, like unique games.
Yeah.
Those games that no one else is completing because they're just like
less than 1,000 people have played this game on TA.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. That'd be fun. I'd have so many of those. That'd be insane.
Yeah, so I've just been like picking up some stuff and just been like, okay, because I've for the most part stopped buying a lot of games because I used to do exactly what you did, where it was like I would go on the sale and be like, is it? Basically, my rule was if it's more than 50% off, then I'm going to consider it. Because I was like, if it's less than that, then I can wait because I've got plenty of other stuff to like. But it's more than that. It's They're basically giving it to me for half. So I'm like, sweet. I mean, if I can buy one game for half, then I can buy another game for half, and that's one game. That's the price of one game for two, basically, is my rationale.
Yeah.
And I used to do that
Yeah.
a lot back in the kind of the Xbox One early days, and then I kind of stopped when Game Pass became a thing and kind of moved most of my new games to there. But I still have this huge backlog of unstarted, kind of like smaller indie games for the most part. That I'm just like, I've got like Quantum Shift and a few other weird fucking things. I'm just like, I need to do some of these because I've seen them on my list for way too fucking long.
Well, it's also just getting increasingly more difficult to do that because I feel like in the Xbox One is where indies really started getting their stride on the Xbox and PS4 generation of things. So I would do that. I buy not necessarily 50% off, but yeah, anything cheap, anything, or a good sale. Like if it wasn't cheaper than a Big Mac, if it was a $60 game for 80% off or 75% off, I'm like, yeah, let's go. That's fine. But I was buying 2 or 3 games a week at that point, and now over the course of time, as gaming has, or in like development has increased, and games are coming out like crazy, every console, that 3 games a week has quickly turned into like, I'll look at my cart and it's like, yeah, it's a bunch of games that are under $10, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is like $200.
Yeah,
like
right?
What the hell?
And like I used to do that when it was like you'd have like the Black Friday sale and you'd be like, man, I'm spending way too much money, but I'm getting a lot of games. But for that to be every week starts getting very rough.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It used to be during Black Friday, Christmas, and like one other sale where it's like, oh my god, I got 20 games in my cart, but I'm only spending like $170 But
Yeah, exactly.
now it's like I got that many games in my cart and I'm spending that every week, and it's just like,
yeah,
I gotta stop.
But yeah, I think I'm going to try and make that a bit more of an effort. So I will I'll keep everyone up to date with the kind of if I find any interesting gems.
You might inspire me because I've literally every time I log into my Xbox, it's because it's in time order.
Yeah.
So the top group is 0 to 10 hours. So it's the first group I see every time. So, and it haunts me every time I see it because it's literally just like, this is something I could bust out in an afternoon after work. Like, why don't I just do this? Like, I don't have energy to play the hard game I'm working on, like Resident Evil, Ethan Must Die. Why don't I just do a 2-hour game?
Yeah, that's.
So you might inspire me.
Oh well, we'll definitely have to. We'll check in with you next time you're on.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I've been playing, or I did play, was Hellblade 2, which I cannot recommend enough. I think is absolutely fantastic. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means. I think it has some pacing issues. I think it's probably my main issue with it, in that they've done this really interesting thing where the first game was very solitary and like kind of, Senua was going on her journey into her mind, into hell, and again, how much of it was real, how much of it wasn't is up for interpretation. This game has her interacting with a lot more actual people. So like she ends up on this island. You'll probably figure out what island it is pretty quickly from the environment. And ends up like meeting with other human beings, and that she does. Again, you kill a lot of people in this too. But you end up meeting with like a lot of people, and they're like, yeah, like I'm from this village. We're dealing with this issue. We're like, you seem to have this ability or something to quell this issue. Come and help me with it. And so she spends a lot of time interacting with people, but it's very much like interact with people on the road while doing missions, as opposed to like, it really could have used a few more quiet moments of like some extended cutscenes or some time in the village, or just some like, again, and I know that like takes development time and voice actors and all that kind of shit. And anything that's like, because this is very go. Like the game it's a short game, but you speed through it in terms of its pacing, where it's like, okay, you solve this issue, you do this, and like it jumps you to this and jumps you to this, and like, like it's.
So it's short, but it's very dense.
Yeah, it's very much like, okay, like it's like they cut all. There was very little bullshit in this game. It's like, which is like cool. Like I think makes a lot of sense, right? Like I think like from a like gameplay perspective, it's quite tight. The combat is pretty good. I still have some. They were very, very dedicated to the no HUD thing. There is no HUD in the game whatsoever. It's all like context and that kind of stuff. And so like I was doing really badly at the content, and I'd forgotten from the first game that you could parry. I remember you could dodge and I remember you could block, but I forgot about the timing, about the parrying. And once I remembered that, because I was really struggling, well, I'm not struggling with combat. I had it on easy, so I was doing fine, but I was just kind of like slogging through it. And the timing of the combat feels a little weird. And I think maybe that's my only real issue with it, is that the combat is definitely better than the first game. You don't get as like surrounded by assholes as often as possible, and like it's more thematically interesting, and you're fighting real dudes for the most part. But it just kind of it is very much a walking sim with some puzzles and then a little bit of combat. And like I'm totally okay with that because I'll play anything. But I can totally understand people being like, I wish it was more this, I wish it was more this, I wish it was more this. Because it's a kind of for such a short runtime, it jumps between these things quite a bit. When you're talking about a game that's like 6 to 7 hours long.
Yeah. I'm okay with it being short because I was okay with Hellblade 1 being short, and
Sure.
I thoroughly enjoyed that game. I loved it a lot. Did they set it up for, well, I guess I don't want to spoilers. I was going to ask if they set it up for a third, but...
I mean, in the first game didn't exactly set itself up for a second, right? They basically said that.
True.
So like this is very much the same. Like it ends on a note of like, we could do another one if we wanted. I'm sure we could come up with a story, but not like it doesn't end on like a cliffhanger or anything.
Yeah, so I'm fine with it being short, because this first one was, and I loved it, so that's cool. However, and maybe I'm like not to sound entitled, but I really was like, I thought for some reason, I don't know what, maybe I was wrong to get this idea in my head, but I thought this was going to be like they were trying to make a God of War 2018 competitor. I thought they were going to like expand, like they had a proof of concept.
Yeah.
With Hellblade, and then Hellblade 2 was going to be like, now we're going to make not like to say we're going to make a game, but like now we're going to
they're going to do the
Gears
Gears of War 2 to Gears of War 1 thing where it's like bigger, better, more badass, kind of just expanding out on the idea. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. And so to kind of see that it's just another like 6-hour bite-sized journey, I don't want to say disappointing. That feels like the wrong word.
Sure.
But I do feel like I was expecting bigger, better, more badass.
I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. I thought, again, I didn't think it was going to be a 20-hour epic, right? But I thought it was probably going to be closer to like a 10 to 12. Like it feels short. And
it looks, I'm literally watching people post completions, and it looks short just from people posting their completions.
Yeah, and it is, and like I'm totally okay with short games. Like I talked many times about like how like an 8 to 10 hour game is nearly the perfect length for pretty much anything.
Me too.
But
except for this one, for some reason, I was really hoping for more.
I think the fact that there is also like not a huge amount to it in terms of like complexity. So like a lot of it is walking. Looking for the occasional collectible. A lot of it is walk and talk, and then you have moments of combat, which there are a few, but not too many. It's definitely big, 'cause the first game had probably a bit too much combat. This has less, but it's kind of it's a bit more visceral and more interesting. And then the puzzles. My biggest problem probably is that like there are a couple of like really cool puzzles in the game. But there are also a few that they just kind of reuse. So it's like, you know, the finding the glyph thing that you had in the original game. They do that like 3 or 4 times again. And I was like, I would have been fine with them doing it once again. But like, you really could have done with like another. It just, there's kind of like a light. There's one of the puzzles has like a light dark mechanic, which was quite interesting. Where it's like you're putting out fires to change things around the environment. And like that one I really enjoyed, and like you kind of do that once or twice, and I was like, cool. And then they kind of just don't. Then you're kind of done. I was like, I wanted the Resident Evil 4 thing of like have an idea, do it, and then just move on. Like you don't. And like I was hoping that we, I mean, like a minecart section is probably not the best example, but it's like they have that in Resident Evil 4. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, and they're just like, yeah, we just do a minecart section, and then you're done with it, and we don't revisit it, and we just built it for this one thing. And I was kind of hoping that with the game being this so short, taking this long in development, and it being this curated, that I was hoping for it to be a bit more crafted in like, yeah, you're going to do this puzzle, and then we're going to really well think out this one. Because even the first game had like the maze and stuff, and you had a lot of like, there was quite a bit of variety in there. Whereas this is, there are I'm not going to say bosses because they're not really like bosses, but like there's the kind of big like set piece moments that end each act because it's like 3 acts or whatever. Are really really good. Like visually looks incredible, really like cool and like visceral and like just really really well made. But the kind of stuff between it is kind of feels a little. It feels a little rote for it, which is weird for a game this short.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you said, even to just to like the development time. It feels like it took absolutely forever. For like we were waiting a ton of time. So that's part of why I was like, oh, this has got to be big. Like they got to be really pulling out all the stops, like doubling what they had in the first game at least. Like maybe making more flesh out mechanics and like again, like I said, making almost like a God of War competitor because that was kind of the vibe I got from the first one, like Nordic stuff, like.
Yeah, and they definitely lean more like the Nordic stuff is even bigger in this one because the original game was
Yeah.
set in I guess Gaelic, like Scotland, Ireland. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay.
I guess the first one, I guess because again, like it's all about like Norse mythology about the North and these Scandinavian invaders coming to wherever she's from. Whereas this is like, I mean, like, yeah, I think it's like Iceland, right? You end up basically like where Reykjavik would be, I suppose. So you get like the volcanic plains and like, but you get like little forests and like greenery and like the
Yeah.
coast. And so like you get
Um,
volcanoes and yeah.
I have heard, however, that the game is absolutely gorgeous. Like one of the
It's
best looking
beautiful.
Xbox games out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about that part for
Yeah.
sure.
And like the sound design's great and it's super well crafted in a way that
Right.
like you just don't see in video games anymore.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't have like
Excited about that.
it doesn't have a collectible map. It doesn't have any. There's no like the own like there is basically like you can find these totems and you can find these faces in stone to lead you to trees, and that's all the collectibles are. And each of them give you a little bit of like some again, just like in the first game where it's like you got some like Norse mythology stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like that.
Uh,
It's that. It's combat. It's puzzles, and it's walking, and that's it.
it's like we always talk about how this generation doesn't feel like next generation. I've heard that this is like a game that feels next generation.
It
So that has me excited. Because
yeah.
mostly I'm hungry for something next generation because I haven't got it in the 4 years of this generation.
This is the kind of, and I don't mean to be disparaging to Ninja Theory, right? But this is the kind of thing that you put out at launch to show off your new console. A short, really, really technical, like well-made experience to really show off the power of your machine. And like, I'm not going to say it's a tech demo, right? Because that's way like it's way more than that. But I can understand why people can make that kind of thing where it's like this is the killer app for this machine, you know? And it's like it's a launch title, so it's not like a huge big thing, but it's like it's showing off what you can really do with it. But we're 4 years into the fucking generation.
Yeah, right. I mean, when did Hellblade 1 come out? 2017?
Yeah,
Right?
2018,
Ish?
I think, maybe 2017, 18, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like how the PS4's tech demo was their controller tech demo more than anything. Was
Yeah.
showing off the controller.
Yeah.
Hellblade should have showed off the power of the
Yeah, 2018, yeah.
4K 120 hertz whatever teraflopping
Yeah,
all
exactly.
over
Just
the
like, yeah,
place.
the most powerful console ever made, right? Exactly. Yeah, I would highly recommend that everyone play this game. I mean, play the first one and the second one. I think they're both fantastic games. And they're short experiences. They're not overly difficult. They have really good difficulty. Like, this game has an easy mode. It also has, like, auto combat, apparently, in the accessibility option. So, like, if you don't want to do the combat, it'll just play it for you. I had no idea, so I just played it. But I played it on easy. I didn't have any trouble with it at all. It's a game that's meant to be played and experienced, and they really want you to just kind of get through it, and it's not about punishing difficulty. And I like the puzzles quite a bit. Like I like the unique puzzles. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I highly recommend it. Want to see some more people play it and give their thoughts.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it for sure. I loved the first one. I'm stoked for the second one. All the things I set aside, I'm still very, very stoked. Don't get it twisted. I'm excited.
I will just quickly go through our leaderboard. So this week on the leaderboard, I am in third place with 6,140 points. Northern Lass was 6,220. And Martel, 6,310. So it's a pretty close running, actually, this week.
Yeah.
So nice job, everyone. Completions. Do you want to go through these, Jake?
Yeah, we've got actually I'm gonna save the best for last. You have first, but I'm gonna save the best for last. Shane, Firehawk D, Gnome love him. Hellblade 2. I'm sure there's plenty of Hellblade 2s out there. Good
Mm-hmm.
job, Shane. Rapture, Farworld Pioneers. I'm familiar with that one.
It's the one that was
Shadow
leaving Game
Slide.
Pass.
Oh, sure.
It's the
Okay,
Terraria
slide it
style,
into.
yeah.
Yeah, Vigor and Farworld Pioneers and Left for Legacy X Defiant. That one's been interesting to me. My brother is a huge Call of Duty guy. Has been playing
He
that.
smashed through
Um,
that really. It only just came out.
yeah. I was pretty shocked to see that one too. I think I saw somebody else
I think
somewhere
Dish
do
also
finish
finished it on
Dish Rapture. Call me out if I'm wrong. I thought I saw you doing it too. Maybe it was just Dish. I don't remember. I've seen X Defiant. Um, Curious how that one has panned out.
yeah, I'm
It was supposed to be like the Call of Duty killer, right?
yeah, apparently it's not quite that, but it is very reminiscent of kind of like it's giving people a nice nostalgic feeling for that kind of time.
Sure,
So I'm
sure.
considering going back and maybe playing. I mean, it's free to play,
Yeah,
and Ubisoft are usually pretty good about not throwing achievements into their stuff later on.
yeah.
They kind of just put the achievements out and leave it as is for the most part. So
And
I'm
the
curious to see how this evolves.
and the list seems, from my understanding, fairly uninvasive,
It's a
pretty standard stuff.
little
Nothing
bit
like
grindy, but not too bad.
nothing like get a triple kill with a bouncing Betty when when you died or whatever. No new kill streaks. Anyway, leading to our last completion for the week and the bestest completion, Super Bob completing Hannah Montana, the video game.
Yep.
Round of applause for Hannah Montana, the video game by Super Bob. Only non-cowards have completed Hannah Montana. So,
Yep.
congratulations, Super Bob.
I'm on that list. I've done it. It's
There you go. I'm a coward. I haven't completed Hannah Montana.
Uh,
I think he also even got a insight achievement.
yeah.
His achievement tracking
He's
set that he
using
uses.
Exophase. I think he got that man card revoked for playing Hannah Montana
Yeah.
or My Horse and Me Too, which is just fucking
Yeah.
great.
That's so good. I didn't know. I don't think it's Exophase because I use Exophase. And
Oh
mine's
yeah,
not being like that.
I can't remember what he's using. Yeah, but he has. He's not using.
But
TA.
I like that there's meta achievements on the site. That's fun.
Which is very funny considering achievements are already meta.
Yeah,
It's just achievements all the way down.
exactly. It's always how it's been.
All right, and then we have the word challenge. Everyone's favorite competition where I come up with a game, you go onto our Discord, and which you can see if you're watching the video on the intro and outro screen. You go on our Discord and you guess on the word challenge channel what the game I'm thinking of is. Every week I give away a clue. The clues range from completely unhelpful to basically giving you the answer if you've listened to this live. We're kind of getting towards that later end now since we missed a week last week. So the first clue is this game is related to Atlas. Now, that could mean fucking anything. It could mean it was published by it. It could mean that someone at Atlas worked on something. I made that very, very intentionally vague.
Developed in Japan.
Yep, lot of really good guesses. Actually, I was going to say Isaac actually managed to get the second option of what I was going to pick straight away. So I'm glad I didn't pick that. And then we have this is the most recent game in the series. Now, I'm not going to say how many games are in that series, but this is the most recent release of the series. And the newest one is this game has over 20 playable characters, which is a big fucking clue. Because if you think about it, there aren't that many types of games that have that many characters. So I want to start seeing some guesses in the channel very quickly. If you guess it right, you win $20. So get onto it.
Yo, shout out to the Girl Answer guess. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that was the one I was looking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was thinking about that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I got that over in my shelf over there. I have a big box one.
That's so cool.
What's your not a close guess? Mm-hmm. What's your favorite guess so far?
Oh, I'll have a look at the channel. Let's see what we've got on the channel at the moment. We've got some good ones in there.
Ooh, Trauma Team seems fun.
Yeah, Trauma Team. I was thinking about Trauma Team. That was a really good guess.
That's a cool guess.
13 Sentinels has been guessed twice, which I thought was funny. A lot of Persona stuff. I was like, come on, guys. I wasn't going to pick Persona. Like, let's...
Yeah, for sure.
Snow Bros is probably my favorite guess, because I think that's the first game Atlas ever did. And that's kind of what we got on this track. I was like, I should do like a publisher game. And I was like, well, I don't want to do the first game because someone will guess that pretty quickly. But I do. Yeah, Atlas has Fallen. Like, there's a lot of Shin Megami Tensei stuff. I will say, like, expand yourselves out a little bit, guys. I did consider doing, like, I will tell you right now, it's not the Karate Kid, for example. Like, that was another game that Atlas published that I was like, that would be hilarious, but also probably too easy. So get onto it, guess them, let me know how you do.
20 playable characters. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, get in the
That
channel.
has my mind totally shifting gears. What everyone else was guessing.
Yeah, exactly. It's people are still pretty far off. But it is you get one guess per hour. So get in there, start spamming it. I want to see some guesses, but also be strategic about it because if you guess something really close, it gives someone else an idea. You got to wait an hour before you can guess again. And also helping to pay for all these competitions and all this kind of stuff for our Patreons. Patreon.com/HallOfGamers. Huge thank you to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natolinator, Mad Lefty, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavaliers07, Old Mate Clown, Mark B, McLovin Legend, Mace J, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. Thank you so much. We literally could not afford to do the show without you guys. All of that pays for competitions, helps pay for equipment occasionally. It also pays for Zoom and for recording stuff and for hosting on Buzzsprout and all that kind of stuff. So make sure we keep the podcast running in perpetuity. We also do put out extra content for our Patreon. So if you are interested in joining at all tiers, from $2 all the way up to $100, whatever you want to give us, we will give you all the extra content available. It's not really about getting extra money out of you guys. It's just if you guys are happy to support, we want to make sure you get something out of it. So we do before and after shows. So that any kind of stuff that we do before we go live, we try and record that. And if there's anything interesting, I'll put it up on the Patreon. We're also still recording our episodes of Lights, Camera, and Action, our TV and movie video game adaptation relation podcast that we do because Cameron's never seen a piece of media in his life. And so we've been dragging him through some stuff. But recently we have been talking about the Fallout TV show, which we've all been really, really enjoying. We just finished recording episode 6, so we've got 2 more to go. So if you're on the Patreon, you'll get access to all of that and all of our backlog episodes as well. So go check that out. We are looking at maybe moving on to another video game show afterwards. I'm thinking maybe The Last of Us, but we'll see. We haven't quite decided yet. And also, I'm sure we'll get Jake on for a few episodes when we're available and timelines work out, depending on what shows we end up doing.
I need to watch Fallout and The Last of Us. They're on my list.
Last of Us will be a good one to do because, like, I haven't seen it. I don't think any of us have seen it, so it'd be good to we'll just do like episode by episode.
We gotta watch The Last of Us and then play the game together, compare.
That's a great idea.
Then you guys would be going off the Xbox.
I mean, it's fine.
PlayStation.
You're gonna emulate it, right? It's fine.
That's fine.
We'll work it out. But that's pretty much going to bring us into the show. As always, we've done the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi. It's good to have people in the chat. We've had Keo in here. We've had Super Bob. We had Isaac. So yeah, if you want to interact, that's the best place to do it. And that's pretty much our show. Jake, have you got anything you want to shell?
No. I'm pretty much just hanging around the community at this point. I have a Discord server still that I am still active in. Achievement Hunters Anonymous. It's linked in Hall of Gamers, but at this point, you should all know that if you're a listener of the pod. It's more of a big group chat at this point of just people shooting the shit and posting completions. If you want to be a degenerate, that's the place to be it. For sure. It's very much the wrong side of the tracks versus our community. It's great. No, it's great. It's fantastic. I always enjoy the crossover. So make sure you join. If you haven't joined our Discord or the Achievement Hunters Anonymous, make sure you join both. They're fantastic places. I'm Neomaster on everything True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord if you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason. But that's going to be episode 125. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.